Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of Ask IOG, the show fueled exclusively by community questions. My name's Garrett Drake. I'm joined alongside Jacob Alka. Jacob, tell me, how are you?
I'm great, Garrett. I had a long day at work today, but I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Okay, I'm glad to hear, Jacob. You look a little sleepy over there.
A little bit.
How was the workday?
Well, I got up at 4:30, so that's any indication how my day is. Then it was long.
That's quite a rough start to the day. Waking up any time before noon is typically a rough start.
I agree.
For me. So,
but I actually had a pretty easy day. Just there was no traffic out, and all my routes were small, so it didn't take me very long to get it done.
Okay. So. Sadly, Preston cannot join us. He's very sick, Jacob. He has a sore throat and he's having difficulty speaking. So it's up to you and I tonight. Hopefully we can get through these questions without struggle. And hopefully Preston's insight won't be lacking. I mean, it will be, but, hopefully we can spice these up a bit without him here. But we do miss him dearly. We send out our loving and caring thoughts towards him. I imagine he's tuning in as well. But Jacob, again, thank you for being here. I'm excited to jump in. And ladies and gentlemen, that being said, don't ever hesitate to send us questions. Please keep them coming because we're getting close to being able to do this weekly. Granted, our schedules do conflict quite a bit as of late, especially because Preston's work situation. But it is our goal to make this a weekly show, and then we can throw it on podcasting services, which is something we're looking forward to. But that being said, Jacob, let's just jump into number 1.
Please.
Enough dilly-dallying.
Yes.
The first one comes from Ren. He says, your favorite protagonists are now in our world. What professions would they find themselves in? Double whammy. What is their favorite fast food chain?
How would I know that?
Jacob, I think you do know. Who do you got over there?
I just did an easy one to pick automatically, which was Sora for me.
Okay. Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, I think he would be a very gifted lock picker.
Do you?
Yes, or maybe a lock maker, or a key maker,
He could be the key master from the Matrix.
Yeah, maybe he makes keyholes, maybe he uses keys to unlock things.
I use keys to unlock things. Could I be a good key maker?
No.
I mean, I don't wield the key blade.
You haven't had the key blade.
That's true.
He has that exceptional gift.
You're right, Jacob. That's a good one.
But I just made something up because it was made by Square Enix. Maybe you would like Panda Express.
Now, how do those coincide exactly?
Because, Asian food, Square Enix, Japanese developer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense at all.
I almost put one of my guys enjoying Panda Express, but I decided
How many
not
did you
to.
do?
I did 2. But I went with Master Chief being one of my favorite video game protagonists, and I believe that, considering the fact that he lost his childhood, and really didn't have a true childhood at all, he's going to make up for it, Jacob. He's going to enjoy going to the park in our world, and he's also going to enjoy skydiving without a parachute, considering the fact that he does not take any fall damage. So he can just jump out of a plane, jump off a mountain, and land perfectly safely. And he'll be fine. And I believe he has a passion for baking as well. I don't know where I get that, but just something in me tells me that John 117 likes to bake a nice apple pie on a Sunday afternoon. And I believe his favorite fast food chain is Arby's. No particular reason why, but he looks like an Arby's guy to me.
I gotcha.
That helmet, that green armor just screams Arby's. I don't know how you'd feel about that.
I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, well, I believe Darth Vader also.
What's his profession?
Master Chief?
Yeah.
He doesn't need a profession. He just, he's fine.
He's got to make money.
Maybe he works at Arby's. I don't know. Maybe that's where I got Arby's. I have no idea what he would do.
He's really falling in the deep end.
I just feel like he'd want to have a lot of fun because all he's done is fight his entire life.
So he would need a wife that's doing the working.
Perhaps. Or maybe he's just retired at this point.
Okay.
He leaves his world and comes in our world, just immediately retires, jumps off mountains for fun, and bakes apple pies.
All right.
Darth Vader, on the other hand, Jacob, I believe he would assist in large-scale construction projects because he can use the Force. For example, it takes to build a skyscraper, I imagine, takes quite a while and a lot of hard labor. But Darth Vader, if he can pull a Star Destroyer out of the sky, he can use the Force to build a building with his mind, essentially. So that's very helpful. And he also has a lightsaber to cut through things, so I feel like he'd make a great construction worker. He also loves Chipotle. No particular reason why, again.
Wrong.
You have any other protagonists, Jacob?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
it's kind of a last-minute thing, unfortunately, for me.
No, that's all right. But I feel like our 3 protagonists would do just fine in our real world. I think all their worlds are far more interesting than our own, but I think they enjoy their time here. Next one comes from Adib Rasif. Rasif? Please forgive me, Adib, if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. He says, Jacob, this is addressed to you. Have you ever thought about contesting an American Ninja Warrior?
No.
No?
No.
Do you think you have the athleticism to do so?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Now, you have the strength.
I don't have the agility.
Okay, I see.
I'm I can be quick, but I don't have the endurance, I would say.
Okay. I get that, Jacob. I get that because there's some athletes that aren't nearly as built as you, but they have that agility and speed. Not necessarily. Well, I guess speed is a factor, but
I'm really not that.
Jacob,
built.
compared to the normal man you are, trust me, and
everyone else thinks so too.
To me, it's impressive. Speaking of which, I ran into a guy at GameStop who knows you.
Yeah, he told me today.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
we talked about you
gym
for a while. He's like, yeah, Jacob really works hard at the gym. I was like, I know, I've witnessed it. I've worked out with him, and it's exhausting. So we were admiring your physique at GameStop.
You told him about our YouTube channel.
Yeah, he asked, he's like, what do you do for fun? I was like, well, other than video games, I do a YouTube channel with Jacob. He's like, oh, cool. I was like, yeah, so that's
he was
basically all I do.
Videos together. And I was like, okay.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we will at some point. We'll see.
I don't know.
Nice guy, though.
Yeah.
What was the question again? Oh, yeah, Ninja Warrior. See, I would love to compete in American Ninja Warrior. I would definitely fail. But someone who I know for a fact could do it is our buddy Evan. Yeah, Evan, we have this buddy named Evan who is one of those people that if he wants to do something, he can do it if he puts his mind to it. He's just one of those people that can do anything. Blows my mind.
Yeah.
So I think Evan could do it.
I think you're right.
I'd give it my best shot, but it wouldn't work out. Next one comes from D. Smitty, Jacob. D. Smitty says, hey, fellas, if you could only play one shooter out of Battlefield, Call of Duty, Overwatch, Doom, Battlefront, Destiny, or Titanfall, which would it be?
Does that have to be the original Destiny?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, I feel like Destiny 2, even although it is a sequel, I feel like it truly is just a continuation of Destiny 1, so I'm going to bundle them together.
Can we pick two?
No, you got to pick one, Jacob. That's the question.
Well,
only one shooter.
Since the hype is real right now, I'll go with Destiny 2.
Okay.
It tears my heart, though, not to pick Overwatch.
I feel you. I think I would go with, out of these...
Yeah, they didn't give you Halo as an option.
I feel, that's a hard one. I would pick Halo if Halo was an option, but I'm going to go with... Now, this is hard. I want to say Overwatch because Overwatch is fantastic, and they continue to support it with new modes and new characters.
I feel like you like some of these more than Overwatch.
No, I know what you mean, but here's my point. Because I might be able to cheese this question in a bit and cheat out on it.
I don't want you to cheat out.
I might, but it's technically it's technically fair, but it's at the same time it's sort of cheating.
Okay. Tell me what you're going to say.
What I have to say about Overwatch is my mind tells me go with Overwatch because, like I just said, we continually get updates, new characters. It's always fresh going in, and the gameplay experience, just the meta, it's fantastic every time.
Does your mind also tell you no? But your body
is telling me yes. Now, see, I told you my mind is telling me Overwatch. My body's telling me yes to Call of Duty. You know why? Because every year Call of Duty is new as well. Granted, similar gameplay experience.
Let's just say you have to stay with one particular Call of Duty.
Okay, let's say I have to choose the current Call of Duty, which is Infinite Warfare. Minus the campaign, I have no care for Infinite Warfare. So I'm going to go with Overwatch, Jacob. You enjoy your time with Destiny.
Let's just say any game. Let's narrow it down to a specific game, like Call of Duty 4 or whatever. Like, what would be the one shooter that you could...
If I could only play one Call of Duty the rest of my life, it'd probably be either Black Ops 2.
It doesn't have to be Call of Duty, just all the shooters you've played. Which one would you play? Like, that's it.
Overwatch. Yeah.
Okay.
For the reasons I've stated. Okay. Believe me, that's a hard choice, but I'd go with Overwatch. The next one comes from Ryan Clark. He says, what was the scariest moment in all of your school life? You got any, Jacob?
I honestly... Maybe the time we rolled... Whose house did we roll?
We rolled a lot of houses. I have a story of rolling someone's house in my notes.
Oh, yeah. I guess were we close to getting caught one time?
Well, I've been caught.
Okay.
Very devastatingly so.
Well, I almost got caught once, and that was scary. Or the time we were out with that Ryan kid, and he was throwing rocks.
Okay, I was going to tell that story, but I can't remember if we've told that story or not.
I don't think you have.
Have I not? Because I can tell it, but I was hesitant to do so because I don't want to be that guy that tells the same story every podcast.
Or maybe the time we had ISS, but that wasn't that scary.
Right.
I don't know. I wasn't really that scared in high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that story's kind of convoluted, but I'll just kind of reiterate it slowly, I guess, just in case, or briefly, I should say. But it's funny because Jacob, myself, Zach Bynum, who's been on this podcast, Preston wasn't there. It was the three of us and a couple other friends had randomly shot a music video for Escape the Fates' This War Is Ours song because we were obsessed with the song when we were in high school. And we made like a cover music video, and I remember sending it to Chris Mabbitt. What's his name? Craig Mabbitt. Chris Mabbitt, the lead vocalist of Escape the Fate on Twitter, was like, dude, we made this for you guys. And he responded. He was like, dude, so rad, props, man. And when he did that, our video instantly got 500 plus views on YouTube, and everyone was just trashing it, like, you guys are losers, this is terrible, it looks awful, blah, 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 blah. But The vocalist himself supported us, but hours later, that's just the beginning of the story. That's why we were all together on this day. It was a Friday night. We were looking to have a good time. We were in the mood. We're like, hey, how about we go ding dong ditch a house? Because this was a time in our lives we were still enjoying doing shenanigans like that. So it was only 9 p.m. It wasn't even really that late. It'd be one thing if we went out at 2 a.m., but it was only 9 p.m., a reasonable time to go ding dong ditching.
I was with you guys.
You were.
I didn't get caught, though.
No, this isn't the time we got caught. This was just an exhilarating evening. So we went out at 9 p.m. and we were walking through the neighborhood. And keep in mind, it's all of our normal friends plus an individual in our neighborhood we weren't really friends with, more acquaintances, but he's kind of a loose cannon. And he was also from Puerto Rico, and he hardly speaks English at this point in time. So we had difficulty communicating with him, but he hung out with us from time to time. So we're walking down the street, blah, 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 blah. So we see a house at the end of this cul-de-sac. We're like, hey guys, that's a prime house right there. All the lights are off, but there's cars in the driveway, so we know someone's in there asleep. This will really piss them off. This was our mindset in high school, a bunch of douchebags. So we're walking up to this house, and all of a sudden we realize, we hesitate. We're like, wait, there's a light, tiny little light up in the middle of this house. And there's someone on their computer, right at the window on their computer, just typing away. We're like, holy crap, guys, that was a close one. He would have totally seen which direction we ran in because he didn't look right out the window. There's street lights everywhere. So let's just not do this house. Like, all right, we'll move on. So all of us head in the opposite direction. We're walking. All of a sudden I realize, I won't call him by his name. Let's call him Billy. It's the foreign kid. It's not necessarily a foreign name. It's more of an American name, I guess. But we're going to call him Billy. So I'm looking around when we're walking. I'm like, wait a second, where's Billy? We all turn around. Billy is still standing in the front yard of this person's house who's typing away at their computer in the window. And he's just staring up at that person. We're like, Billy, what are you doing? Get over here. We're not going to ding dong ditch that house. There's someone right there. And he doesn't respond. Billy just proceeds to slowly look back at us. We're like, come on, what are you doing? And then he, without a word, looks back up at the house. We're like, Billy, what are you thinking? What are you going to do? He picks up a rock and just as fast as you can imagine, picks up a rock and throws it as hard as he can at this window. Thank the Lord it didn't break, but it ricochets off this guy's window. And we instantly start screaming and panicking and running in the opposite direction. And we just leave. We're like, oh my gosh. So we just take off, run for our lives, and don't even look back. We run all the way halfway across the neighborhood into the pool area and jump behind the clubhouse and just duck for cover. And we're all sitting there. We're like, what an idiot. What is Billy thinking? Why would you throw a rock at that guy's house? He's going to be looking for us. And just to cycle back from it, to give you a perspective as to who this guy was who lived in this house. And thank the Lord that he didn't catch us this time, because later on, months later, it was maybe a year later in high school. This is a short little add-on story to the same house. Me and two other buddies, ding dong ditched this house, and this guy literally chased us with a gun through the neighborhood. Did I ever tell you this, Jacob? No. It was me, Zach McDermott, maybe Rivera, I can't remember, but we had all ding dong ditched his house and ran. But this is before he was chasing us. We all got in our cars at the parking lot of the pool, where you park your car all the time. And we're fixing to pull out of there and just go home. And all of a sudden, this guy comes flying around the corner of the clubhouse with a handgun in his hand, screaming and yelling. We're like, oh! I have never driven so fast through a neighborhood. The speed limit in a neighborhood's like 20 miles an hour. Oh, yeah. Jacob, I kid you not, I was going 75 in my neighborhood. That's how scared I was. This guy was chasing us with a gun. If a small child or dog had run out in the street, they would have exploded. I would have hit them so hard. So we all drove back to my house so fast to the point where we couldn't see where we went. And I remember I had my buddy park his car in my garage because it was so recognizable. So I had him park and I parked reverse in my driveway in the dark shadows in the darkest spot of my driveway, so he couldn't see if he had driven around the neighborhood. But he chased us halfway down the street. I saw him in my rear view just sprinting with hate in his eyes, I'd imagine, with a handgun. So that's the person Billy threw a rock at. But this is before we knew he was a crazy man. But we ran. Thankfully, he didn't find us. So we get our act together. We're like, man, that was wild. Let's just go to the other side of the neighborhood. We'll ding dong ditch some houses there and we'll just go home and play Halo or something. So we continue on down the street. We're walking for a little ways, and all of a sudden, Billy pops out of a tree. And it was the weirdest thing. You were there. You remember this. He literally just pops out of behind a tree in a random street in a different part of the neighborhood. He goes, guys, why'd you leave me? We're like, Billy, where did you come from? Why did you throw a rock at that guy's window? And he's like, that's what we did in Puerto Rico. We're like, Puerto Rico? This isn't Puerto Rico. You can't go throwing rocks at people's houses. And we're all yelling at him. He's like, all right, sorry, I won't do that again. We're like, fine, good. Let's just go ring some doorbell and go home. So this is when the night takes a turn for the worst, but in a very fun way. So we're walking down the street, and not really haven't rung any more doorbells or haven't attempted to do so. And all of a sudden, we're walking, and across the street, a little ways behind us at this point, we hear, "What are you kids doing?" We're like, "What was that?" And we all kind of pause for a moment, and we're looking around. She's like, "What the hell are you doing?" So we turn around, and across the street, this old lady's on her porch walking towards the edge of her porch, fixing to walk out into her front yard and kind of confront us. And she's like, "Get over here right now. What are you, do you know what time?" It's like 9:30. "Do you know what time it is?" And I remember telling you guys, I'm like, "Guys, let's just run." I was like, "She can't catch us." I was like,
remember you saying this.
I was like, on three, we're just going to run. She's like, "Get back here right now, you fucking kids." I'm like, "All right, 1, 2, 3, run. We just take off. And as soon as we take off, she's like, "What the hell? Get back here." Screaming bloody murder. We were scared of this old lady, man. Take off as fast as we can down the street and run into some random backyard and hide near someone's deck in a backyard. We're like, "What on earth is happening tonight?" Not Ryan. Billy throws a rock at someone's house. This lady's screaming at us for no reason. We're just walking down the street, not causing any harm whatsoever. So we're all stressed out. We're like, "Okay, this is clearly not going as planned. Let's just go home." So we get nervous, though, because when we leave this house to head towards back my house, we realize that it's either we have to pass by that woman's house again, or we have to find another way around. And to get to my house another way around would take a long time to do so. So we come up to the street corner and look around this house, and we realize and this is about 15 minutes later, there were cop cars in this lady's driveway. We're like, "Holy crap, she called the cops on us." And that Lord knows what she gets to say. She's probably like, "These miscreants ran away from me. They're up to something. They're up to no good." We're like, "Crap, guys, what are we going to do about this?" And I can't remember the specifics, but this is when we got split up because we saw the cop cars.
Ran.
Yeah, I think it was either a car or a cop car that drove up right behind us, and it spooked us, but maybe we thought it was a cop, and we screamed and ran in different directions at this point. So me and Zach Bynum, who's been on the podcast before, and another gentleman named Zach, take off in one direction, and you and who else were together?
It was Billy, this other friend named Carlos,
okay,
I think, and then McDermott?
Okay.
Maybe? I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember who we were with, but we all basically split into two groups in opposite directions. And I'll let you tell your perspective first if you want.
Oh, I hardly remember it, unfortunately.
You don't know what you guys... Because ours is hilarious.
I know we tried to cut through the woods, and then we got caught in briars, and
oh, no.
we got scraped all up. It was really annoying.
Right.
I just know we were trying to make it back to your house.
Yeah.
I spent like 20 minutes trying to get back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we got back before you guys.
You did get back before us, and we had a little adventure along the way. So me and the two Zachs take off into the woods, jump over a creek, and keep running. And we run all the way to the other side of the neighborhood. This is as far as you can get from my house in this neighborhood.
I think Elliot was with me too.
Maybe it was, yeah.
Or Evan, one of the two.
And we had a lot of friends in high school. I can't remember who all was there. So me and the other two Zachs, totally exhausted at this point, out of breath, come up to a street corner, and it's like you can't even rest during this evening because it's just one crazy event after the other. So we get to a street corner, huffing and puffing, like,
I remember when I got back, I was like drenched in sweat.
Yeah, I was like, my goodness, what is the deal tonight? And I'm not even kidding, I couldn't even hardly take a breath when I look up, and these kids, much younger than us, probably early middle school, had a carton of eggs in a front yard, and they're just looking at us like we're crazy people. We're like, "Hey guys, just a heads up, there's cops, circling around the neighborhood. You might want to just lay low. I mean, they're looking for us right now." And this kid goes, "No, dude, we're going to egg this house." And just like cuts me off, and they start throwing eggs at the house, just pegging the side of these windows of this house. We're like, "You idiots." So we take off into the woods, and of course, moments later, a cop car comes around the corner, and we just dart into another patch of trees, and these little middle schoolers follow us under the trees. Thankfully, the cop didn't see any of us. But, me, the two Zachs, and these three middle school kids are all in these trees just sitting. We're like, "Why are you guys egging a house?" I would have never egged a house in my life. I've never egged a house. Have you egged a house? No. Okay, because that's just a little too far for me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, ringing a doorbell's harmless. I mean, it pisses people off, but egging someone's house can cause property damage.
You've rolled a house before, have you not?
Oh, plenty, but I'm getting to a funnier story than this.
Spending a lot of time on this question.
It's a detailed story, but, we end up in these trees, and we talk to these middle schoolers about random crap, probably video games for 20 minutes, let everything die down. So this is the little cherry on top of the evening. It wasn't necessarily crazy, but it's hilarious and so random. So we leave the trees, we go our separate ways, and we head towards my house. And my house is literally in sight. I'm like, there it is. We're so close, thank the Lord, we escaped the policemen. And we literally did nothing the whole night, which is the funniest part. We were running from nothing. Even if we had been caught, we wouldn't have been guilty of anything. It was just, I guess it was the thrill of the evening that had kept us going. So we're walking down the street, and all of a sudden we see these 3 shirtless dudes going on a late night jog. And not necessarily weird, I guess, but these 3 dudes just in a single file line jogging down the street. And hey guys, we say hello to them as they're passing by. We're like, hey, just so you know, you guys kind of fit our description.
I remember this.
Yeah, you guys kind of fit our description. Just so you know that some cops might stop you and try to interrogate you. And before I could even finish what I was saying, this guy cuts me off. It's like, yo, man, you can suck my dick. And they just keep running. I was like, what? I was like, blah, 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 cops are here, blah, 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 and he's like, you can suck my dick. And I was like, okay. He just kept running. That's all.
Neighborhood's an interesting place.
I know. He just kept running. I was like, wow, all right. And I remember we made it back to my house, and we're like, oh, guys, that was crazy. And we probably played Halo the rest of the night. So it was a fun time.
Yes.
That was a ding-dong ditching story. I have countless stories like that. But do you have any other scary moments? I have a couple more.
No, I didn't have any more.
Okay, where's it at? I have my notes here. Where are we at? Okay. In first grade, I recall waking up one morning for school, and my mother fed me wild berry Pop-Tarts. Now, those of you that are Pop-Tart connoisseurs like myself, now I haven't had Pop-Tarts nearly as often as I did when I was a child, but I used to love Pop-Tarts, and wild berry were one of my favorite flavors. Not really necessarily the way they tasted, but the way they looked. You remember wild berry Pop-Tarts, Jacob?
Oh, yeah.
They were purple with the pink icing, or maybe it's the other way around.
The Pop-Tart's not purple.
The icing's purple.
Right, it's a regular Pop-Tart with like purple
icing
and a blue swirl.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, those were wild berry.
And red. I think the actual...
The filling's red.
Yeah, it's red.
The wild berry filling.
Yes.
Delicious. But not this morning, Jacob. So I had wild berry Pop-Tarts. I got to my first grade class, and my crush happened to be in my first grade class. She was in my kindergarten class, and this is when I realized that I was attracted to women. Jacob was in kindergarten. Now, I'd seen a course. I imagine
That's when I found out, too.
Yeah. I imagine. It's weird when you're that young, you realize that you're attracted to someone. So, because I imagine prior to kindergarten, I'd seen plenty of quote-unquote cute girls my age, but I didn't really think anything of it because all I wanted to do was play with my Batman action figures and dress up as a Power Ranger. So I get to my kindergarten class day one, and I see this girl and instantly have a massive crush on her. And I had a crush through her all through elementary school. And fun story. I'll get to the final thing. The final interaction the two of us ever had after this moment I'm about to share with you. It's actually one of the more embarrassing moments in my life. So first grade, as I said, get to class. I'm not feeling too well, Jacob. I'm wearing my Michael Jordan jumpsuit, which I wore far too often. Preston tells me burned into his memory in elementary school, and he knew me. It's just me in that Michael Jordan jumpsuit. When he still played for the Bulls. So I'm not feeling too hot, Jacob. And we have a substitute teacher. That's not really, that detail doesn't matter, but I just recall that. I remember every vivid detail this morning, so how embarrassed I was. So we're fixing to all take a seat and begin class. And I'm just kind of walking around because I feel very nauseous. I have this, because this is before I realized when I was a child that when you feel this way, you're probably going to throw up. So I wasn't sure exactly what I was feeling. So I walk over to the sink because something in my brain tells me to get close to a sink. And all of a sudden I just violently gag, dry heave over the side of the sink. I was like, holy crap. I think I might throw up in a minute. But I disregarded it. Being a little kid, I was too embarrassed to tell my substitute teacher, which didn't help, that I'm not feeling well. I should probably go to the bathroom at the nurse's office, but didn't have the heart to do so, Jacob. So I take a seat directly across from the girl I have a crush on. And I guarantee you, Jacob, this was probably so traumatizing for her that she probably remembers it to this day and remembers me as the kid that puked on her. So we're sitting there, and moments later, Jacob, I erupted, and I threw up, I'm not even exaggerating, a river across the table, and it slid like a tidal wave into her lap, and she started screaming bloody murder. I remember the kid next to her was like, ew, and like fell backwards out of his seat, and everyone starts screaming because they scare everyone else in the class. They think maybe there's a monster or a bomb has gone off, and she's screaming covered in my puke. I'm just like,
you're puking like the guys doing Alien Isolation.
Pretty much, dude. I threw up all over her lap, and of course I can't remember the details after that because I was so mortified. I think I probably blocked it out of my memory, but puked all over the girl I had a crush on, and didn't say a word to her after that until 5th grade. This is 4 years later. And to this day, Jacob, this is the last thing I ever said to her. I remember it was field day. It was one of the last days of my elementary school career. And our classes were all playing tug of war. And it just so happens that my crush's class was down a couple classmates. And they asked our class, hey, Do a couple of you guys mind joining us in our tug of war session to help our class win? And of course, I volunteered. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll join you guys. So I joined her team, and I am holding the rope directly behind her. And this is the only thing she said to me after I puked on her. Maybe she forgot that I puked on her, but she turned around and goes, "You guys are rooting for our team, right?" And I was like, "Of course." And she goes, "Okay, cool." Turned around. We played tug of war. That's the last thing she ever said to me. So, and she's still beautiful to this day. We're friends on Facebook.
Oh.
Not that that matters, but yeah, I threw up on her and had one very brief conversation with her. So good times, my friend. But that was a horrifying memory in my school career. Another funny one would be, you remember the fake gun threat when we were freshmen in high school?
Kinda.
Okay, now this is one of, I say it's scary because people were actually scared, but to me it's more of a hilarious school event because this kind of harkens back to our previous Ask IOG episode, the high school stories. I forgot about this one. So this is just a few weeks after the release of Halo 3. Jacob and I were freshmen in high school. This is the year 2007. And we were into our second period of the day. It was actually a block day, Jacob. I don't know if you remember this correctly, but block days where we had extra long classes, about an hour and a half long. So these days are typically far more boring than our other days. So this is our second period of the day. We're all bored out of our minds, I imagine. I was actually in my math class at the time. And all of a sudden, people start texting each other. "Oh my gosh, there's a gun threat in whatever bathroom in this building." And it just takes off like wildfire, and the entire school, the entire faculty finds out that there's a supposed gun threat written on a wall in the bathroom saying that today, this person, whoever it was, is going to kill someone with a gun. So of course, the whole faculty's freaking out, the administration's freaking out, and some students are freaking out. But we're up to the point now where kids our age, I guess, just think it's funny, and we try to use it as an excuse to go home. So this is probably, I don't know if this is a world record. I don't know if this has ever happened in any other. I know there's been plenty of gun threats at schools, but there were so many parents, maybe 30 minutes after this whole announcement went viral, essentially, among all the students, that so many parents were trying to pick up their kids and check them out from school that it was backed up like down the street and around the block because so many parents were freaking out about this. So I put on a little act for my mother, pretending like I'm just horrified, but I really don't care. I really just, the secret's out. We've all been texting each other. We all just want to go home and play Halo 3. Because remember, this has only been out for a couple of weeks. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to anyone, this game. So I told my mom, like, "Mom, there's someone threatening to kill someone with a gun, and I don't think it's safe here." And my mom's pretty smart. She's like, "Garrett, it's probably nothing. I'm not coming to check you out of school. It'll be fine." And I was like, "But Mom, seriously," and she was like, "No, you're going to be fine. I'm checking you out." But I think I finally just told her, I'm like, "Well, everyone else is checking out to go play Halo, and I'd love to join them." And finally, she just caved. She's like, "All right, whatever, fine. I'll come check you out." I think she checked out me and my sister and maybe someone else. And I remember...
Well, we were freshmen?
This was freshman year of high school.
How was your sister in there, too?
Maybe she was. Maybe, oh, yes, my sister wasn't in high school yet. I know she checked out me and someone else, because I remember it's like, "Call the school and tell them you're checking out Zach, too," or something. Because I remember taking... And maybe it was Rivera, because he lives in my neighborhood. So... she checked out me and Zach, and we go home, and I get on Halo, and everyone is on Halo, just like we had planned. we all played Halo 3 custom games all day long for the rest of the day. It was a fantastic day of school, and it was a great excuse to escape and play the game, so I'll never forget it. Making the high school basketball team was kind of scary. Long story short, Zach Bynum and I tried out for the school basketball team. 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th, and 10th grade, and never made it any of these years. And 11th grade, our junior year of high school, we finally made the school basketball team. But I remember the horrifying part was trying out that year and having to wait 2 weeks to find out if we made it. And the day came when we were finally going to find out if we made it after all this time. We worked so hard to make the team. And it was very... what's the word I'm looking for? Suspenseful, I'll say, because we weren't able to find out until the last period of the school day was over, and then we could go see the list on the wall because that's when it was posted. So we're waiting all day. We're just pumped up, like, did we make it? I don't know. And I just happened to be walking down the hall, and the coach himself stopped me in the middle of the hall, and this is like halfway through the school day. And he said something to me random, like, "Hey, how's your because I had him for my first period of that school year too. And he goes, "How's your history project going?" Blah blah blah. I can't do that coach's voice. Well, how does it go again?
Calhoun?
No. It's Plus. He goes, "Basketball, safety valve," that guy. So, He's like, hey, how's your project going? Blah,
Forgot
blah, blah.
about plus.
Yeah, he was our history teacher. And he was the head basketball coach. We're like, I'm like, oh, good, sir. It's going well, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all right, cool. Well, good to see you. And he starts walking the opposite direction. I go my opposite way. And all of a sudden, it's a movie moment. We're walking. And I'm like, that isn't a good sign. He didn't say anything about basketball. And he goes, oh, by the way. And I'm like, and I turn around and he goes, just wanted to let you know, you and Zach are on the team this year. And I thought you guys did a really good job and worked hard all these years. And you really deserved a spot on the team. And so I'll see you at practice tomorrow. Or he said tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. I was like, F me. And I was like, cool. I remember I instantly ran to or texted Zach, like, pretend like you're going to the bathroom. I have something to tell you. And he's like, all right, cool. So he comes out in the hall, we meet up. I'm like, Plus told me we're on the team. He goes, yeah, he told me like an hour ago. I'm like, dude, so cool. I remember we went to the list where it was posted after school just to make sure he was telling the truth and wasn't pulling a fast one on us. And long and behold, Jacob, there were our names on that list. And I remember a veteran basketball player who had played for the school teams all his life walked up to us. He's used to seeing his name on the list season. He's like, all right, cool. And he's walking away and goes, your lives are over now, by the way. And we didn't know what he meant by that, but he was not kidding. We practiced constantly. And the funniest part about that is we wanted it so badly to make that school basketball team for so many years. And when we finally made it, we hated it. And we quit the year after. But we got all that sweet gear, Jacob. And that's all we really wanted. We wanted to wear the gear and try to get the girls. Didn't really work out in our favor, but, we tried. Ultimately, that's probably why we wanted to make the school basketball team. Lastly, you mentioned rolling houses. This is a story of revenge, Jacob. This is one I have really grown to appreciate over the years. So, as you know, I've mentioned Zach many times. Me and Zach used to hang out a lot in high school, as did Jacob. So we were sitting around my house one evening playing some Halo as usual. And we woke up the next morning to find that one tree in my neighborhood had been covered in a few strands of toilet paper. We're like, oh, that's hilarious. It was the weakest TP job we had ever seen of a house. But we used it as an excuse to exact extreme revenge. And we found out through my sister that it was one of her associates in high school, this kid that was her age, 2 years younger than us, and him and his buddy tried to pull a fast one on us and roll my house. And of course they did a terrible job. But we're like, this gives us an excuse to roll his house. So we're going to get our revenge. And this is winter time. And just a week later, we were planning how we were going to do this. It was me and the three Zachs as usual. So it snowed. This is one of the years where it snowed heavier than it usually does in Georgia. I think we got close to a foot. Not quite a foot, but just under a foot of snow. And for us, that's a lot of snow. So we thought it was the perfect night to go out and roll this house because with it being icy and cold, and usually the snow turns into ice overnight in Georgia just due to these weird temperature changes. So it's not really snow. It's just sleet and ice, and it's gross. So like, this will be the perfect night to roll the crap out of this kid's house. We can really get him good. So we pay a visit to the local grocery store, as you do if you want to do a really good rolling job. Of course, we buy a plethora of toilet paper, the cheapest brand possible, the kind that just tears apart whenever you pull at it. So buy the cheapest toilet paper, and then now Zach and I, the only thing on our minds was we're just going to roll it to where you can't tell the difference between the snow and the toilet paper. That's how much we were going to roll it. So Zach and I get all the toilet paper. Well, it just so happens that the two Zachs pick up loaves of bread, bottles of syrup, and maybe one other thing. We're like, what are you guys going to do with that? They're like, don't worry about it. It's going to be funny. I'm like, okay, whatever. So we get to this kid's house late at night, probably 2 or 3 in the morning. Not a creature is stirring, Jacob. Snow's falling gently, a foot of snow in his yard. Now I tell them before we go into this yard, I'm like, guys, am I the only one thinking this? When we walk into this front yard, make sure you drag your feet so you don't leave footprints, because I guarantee you when we're done with this, people are going to look for our footprints and try to figure out who did this. And they're not listening to me. They're just so excited to be here rolling this kid's house. So Zach and I proceed to roll this tree in his front yard. It was a massive tree to the point where you'd have to get a ladder or a lift of some sort to get the toilet paper out. And we just spent 20 minutes rolling this tree. It was a work of art, Jacob. You would have loved it.
I was there.
Yeah, you weren't there for this one. This is a different one, I promise.
Oh.
Now, you and I had rolled houses before. This is a different house. But, so while we're doing this, one of the Zachs proceeds to lick the slices of bread. I'm sure some of you out there listening have either heard of or done this yourselves. Well, he's licking the bread and sticking them to all the vehicles in this kid. There's like 3 or 4 vehicles in this car. And when you do this, especially in the cold, when you rip the bread off, it just leaves a crustation of bread on the window, and you have to scrape it off because, bread, when it gets wet or toasted, it just or frozen in this sense, it becomes a giant piece of crust. So he covers all the vehicles almost to a point where they look like bread with wheels, loaves of bread with wheels. So he covers the cars, and the other Zach takes the big bottle of syrup and just completely covers their front porch in syrup. And these are total douche moves. But we didn't stop them. I don't know why we didn't try to stop them, but covers their front porch and syrup. And meanwhile, Zach and I are just rolling everything in their front yard as far as the eye can see. So we bail, and the night goes by, and I wake up the next morning, and I already have a message from the kid who had rolled our house previously, and he goes, "I know you fucking did it, you son of a bitch." He's like, "What the hell, man?" He's like, "I know it was you and your stupid friends." And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about, dude." And this was the same year that we had made the basketball team, and this kid was also, he was on the freshman team, and Zach and I were on the JV basketball team. Which, fun fact about the basketball team, Zach and I were the only juniors on JV, and every other junior was on varsity, which is a testament to when we made the team, we were still losers. But I told him, I denied it completely. I was like, "Dude, I have literally no idea what you're talking about. I don't even know where your house is." And we rode the same bus, so he knows I know where his house is. I'm like, "I don't know where you live, dude. It wasn't us." So we deny it, and he sees us at practice, and he and the kid that attempted to roll my house saw us and just looked like they wanted to kill us. I mean, these sound like fake movie moments, but I tell you, Jacob, these are true stories. And I should write a small short story book and have it be a nice toilet read for people when they're taking a dump. I don't know what I'd title it, but I should work on that. Because they're just totally ridiculous. But they know it's us, and we're aware of the fact that there's no really denying it, but we're denying it anyway. So we deny it for about a week, and about 5 or 6 days later, a news article comes out in my neighborhood. I don't know how we got there. There's like a neighborhood email thread or neighborhood news paper of some sort. This is Lake Forest News, adolescents or something, property damage, blah, 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 blah. And there's 2 photographs. One of the damage we did. It was beautiful to see it in this email thread or whatever it was. But secondly, there was a single picture of a footprint, and guess whose footprint it was? It was Mr. Zach Bynum's footprint in his Jordan shoes. And I think I recall the kid saying he knew it was us and Zach, because Zach at the time wore Jordans all the time. The kid instantly knew it was Zach. So this is the picture, like looking for this size shoe and this brand, blah, 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 blah. Keep an eye out. It's just so stupid. But it's a picture of the damage in Zach's shoe. And I texted everyone, I'm like, "I told you guys to drag your feet. I knew this was going to happen. I just had a feeling that this would happen." So that goes out, and the kid continues to harass us. And then finally my parents realized it was us. My dad was like, "Look, the parents are threatening to press charges if they catch the people." My dad was like, "I really just think you guys should go apologize. I know you don't want to admit to it, but I think the right thing to do would just be go and apologize, and I'll drive you over there myself and you guys can apologize." We're like, "All right, whatever. Fine, we'll own up to it and go apologize to this family." So we text the 2 Zachs, and we're like, "Hey guys, we're going to go apologize. I know that sucks, but we're going to go do that if you guys want to come with us." And both of them made up different excuses. One of them's like, "Oh, it's my sister's birthday, I can't." The other one's like, "Oh, I have to go to work," or something. So they refused to go apologize with us. So Zach and I are attempting to be the good Samaritans that we were. My dad drives us over, walk up to the front door, knock on it. And as we're waiting for them to come to the front door, the front porch is just a mess. There's just hardened syrup. It's like an inch thick of syrup just all over the driveway, and it's still freezing cold outside. This lady opens the door and goes, "Oh, hello, boys. How may I help you?" I'm like, "Hey, it was so awkward, of course. We're like, we're the guys that rolled your house." And she was like, "I'm just really disappointed, boys." She was like, "I just can't fathom why you would do something like this." She's like, "Our cars are so damaged. We're still trying to pay to have them cleaned. No amount of work has been able to get all this syrup off our front porch." She's like, why would you ever do this? We're like, "We're sorry, ma'am. To be honest, Zach and I here, all we did was throw toilet paper in your bushes and your tree. We did not stick the bread in your car or do the syrup." It's just these other guys we know did that. We didn't completely rat them out. We just said some other guys did that. She was like, "Oh, wow. It's just really heartbreaking because we don't know what we could have done to deserve this." And that's when I was like, and it clicked to me. She kept asking us that. I'm like, "You don't know?" She's like, "What do you mean I don't know?" I was like, "Well, your son rolled my house." I was like, and we were just having some playful revenge. We just wanted to get him back, just kids messing around. She goes, "Oh, I had no idea he did that." And we just had a little more small talk. She goes, "Okay, boys, well, I really appreciate you coming to apologize." She's like, "I guess we'll see you around." We're like, "Okay, bye, ma'am. Thank you for forgiving us and understanding." I don't think anything of it. We get back in my dad's car, go home. About 20 minutes later, same kid who had been messaging me, I knew it was you guys, messaged me. He goes, "What the hell, man? Why'd you tell my mom I rolled your house?" I was like, "Well, she asked why we rolled your house." He goes, "What the F, man? I'm grounded now." His mom grounded him, and that's why it's the ultimate revenge story. Not only do he destroy the kid's house in an artistic fashion, but he got grounded because of it. So just because he threw couple little strands of toilet paper on our tree, we ruined his house and got him grounded.
You screwed him.
We did. It was a wonderful story of revenge. Jacob, that brings us to our next question at long last. Yeah. I had to share those stories. There's some fun ones. The next one comes from...
Is that our main topic?
It probably is. The next one comes from Nikolai Fogg, Jacob. He says, "A personal question for you, Garrett, my friend." And this goes out to you, Jacob. I imagine you can contribute as well. How would you rank the 4 main Arkham games from worst to best? I've only played Knight, and I'm thinking about getting into the series as a whole.
How have you only played Knight?
Well, I mean, I guess some people heard about the success of the previous ones, and Knight, at the time it was coming out, looked awesome. It was like, oh, I might as well play this one.
It's like the worst one.
I don't think it's the worst one, and I'll tell you why, Jacob.
Well, I haven't played all of them, so
okay.
I can't really have an input.
All right, well, Nikolai, if you don't mind, instead of going from worst to best, I'm going to go from best to worst, because if I do it from worst to best, I'll get myself confused, and I may misinterpret what I'm trying to say. Or you may misinterpret what I'm trying to say. So, best Arkham game, in my opinion, now this varies for a lot of people, I imagine, but my favorite Arkham game is Arkham City. I've stated that multiple times. It's the one I've played through the most.
Most people think that.
I've played through it 5.5 times, and the 6th playthrough was cut off due to something else coming out, I believe, at the time. So played Arkham City a crap ton. Secondly would be Arkham Asylum, purely due to the narrative and the linearity of that gameplay experience. I mean, there's a little open world here and there in the courtyard of Arkham Asylum, but just the straightforward and how small scale the story was. Even though Joker becomes like a giant rage monster at the end, that was a little over the top.
That's the one I didn't play.
All right, but besides that, just the story and how from start to finish, just every moment, every story beat in that game builds upon the last, and all the villains you encounter is awesome. Now, gameplay, I believe Arkham Knight is a little better than Arkham Asylum, but I just love the story so much of Asylum. That's why it's my number 2. So I go City, Asylum, and then Knight. Now, Knight was a incredibly disappointing storyline.
I'm disappointed in you.
What, of Arkham Knight?
You're putting Origins last.
No, I am putting Origins last. Only because Arkham Knight's gameplay is so good. Now, that being said, a few things are lacking. We've done an extensive review of Arkham Knight. If you have any interest, I don't know why anyone would at this point. If you have any interest in hearing like 2 hours worth of us talking about Arkham Knight and everything we feel about it, we do have that review on our YouTube channel and the review playlist. But of course, the tank battles were far too much. The side quests for all the side villains were super weak. They were all the same thing over and over and over again. Were super boring. But the core gameplay of just driving your Batmobile, even getting in and out of tank mode, and just fighting as usual was just the best it had ever been, in my opinion. I thought it was awesome. Now, it's lacking in many ways, but I just think the gameplay is so good for the most part in Arkham Knight. That's why it's my number 3. And Origins is last because Origins, although criminally underrated, the story is phenomenal in Origins. The gameplay was lacking for me in Origins. All the characters were great. The performances were awesome. The gameplay was very bland. Gotham, out of all the games, and that's a 3 out of the 4 that takes place in Gotham City itself. Very empty, nothing to do. Not that you really need anything more to do than fight crime as Batman, but that one especially for some reason just felt far too empty. But one thing I did love about Origins was going to and from the Batcave. It was always a dream of mine in any Batman game. Or just when I was a kid, I wanted to go to and from the Batman cave, or the Batman cave, the Batcave as Batman. And
I have that Arkham Origins poster too.
Yeah, it's an awesome poster. I love that one. And that is, I think out of all of them, that's the coolest premise of all the stories. The fact that Batman's being hunted by an elite group of 8 assassins. That is so cool. I hope if they ever make the next Batman movie, if they don't do an Arkham Asylum storyline, I think that'd make an excellent storyline as Arkham Origins.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are my 4. And perhaps my mind will change at some point. Maybe they used to be different. But currently it's from best to worst: City, Asylum, Knight, and then Origins. But how many have you played, Jacob?
I played them all except Asylum.
Okay. So out of those 3, how would you rank them?
For me, it would be City, Origins, Knight.
Okay. That's honorable, Jacob.
Yep.
Makes sense to me.
I thought the narrative in this night was very poor.
It was. That was the worst twist of all time.
Yeah. And I guess at the time I valued that more than the gameplay. So,
and like I said at the time, I'll never forget when that debut trailer was announced and they first revealed Arkham Knight. Instantly, 100 people were like, "That's Jason Todd," and of course, I wanted to believe that because it seems so
That's a
obvious.
spoiler. So
Yeah, sorry if anyone hasn't played Arkham Knight, but at the time, I wanted to believe that because it seemed so obvious. But Rocksteady kept saying, "No, it's a brand new character." And in their defense, Arkham Knight, the title and the look of his character, technically is a brand new character, but he's enveloped by a character that's been in the lore forever. So that was a massive disappointment. Next one comes from Harley, Jacob. He says, "What are your guys' biggest pet peeves?" Got any?
see, I was trying to think because I know I have them, but I can't think of them right now.
Pet peeves are tough because you typically recognize them in the moment.
Right? Yeah. You don't, think about it. Just when it pisses you off.
Exactly, and it's typically something that repeatedly pisses you off, and you realize it's something that annoys you. It's not necessarily always from the same person or thing, but those encounters, you find yourself in those encounters a lot, and it frustrates you. But that being said, Jacob, there are a few that I can think of off the top of my head that drive me crazy. My first one is when people fail to respond to either a phone call, an email, or a text message. Jacob, not a day goes by that one person I have to contact just doesn't respond.
That's me every day.
You not responding?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying I did. I don't want people to mistake me.
Here's what I do. I take a while to get back to you.
Okay.
I'll get back to you later. That's what I do.
Right. See, I'm a patient.
Because I'm always doing something and I'm always busy. I'm never able to answer the phone.
Right. Now,
I don't know why that always is.
No, I don't want to play the totally innocent one at the table because I have, for sure, all the pet peeves I'm going to list, I've been guilty of at one point or another in my life, but not to a point where it not necessarily defines me, but to a point where someone recognizes me as someone who does these things. But for example, there's this professor who is very good at what he does. He's very knowledgeable, but he just has no social skills whatsoever. And I desperately need to communicate with him prior to my summer quarter at school. I mean, it's crucial that if I don't talk to them, I could be in a tough spot as far as classes are concerned. And he just won't respond. And he's never in his office, so I can't find him. I've talked to my advisor. She's like, well, just email him again. And every time I do, he doesn't respond. That drives me crazy. And I've encountered plenty of people in my life that, like I said, whether it's a phone call, a text, or an email, especially... There's two scenarios. One where it's something really important that they need to respond and they don't, and that drives me crazy. But secondly, if it's a yes or no answer. If all you have to say is yes or no and you can't respond, I'm like, what on earth is wrong with you? It takes 2 seconds to say yes or no to something. So that can drive me insane. But as I said, I'm patient. I can wait. But there are people that literally never respond. Drives me crazy. Got any more before I continue?
I'm trying to think. Let's come back to it at the end.
Okay, well, I got a couple more. Another one is when people don't live up to their word. If someone says they're going to do something and they don't do it, it's another thing. It's kind of similar to not responding. But someone's like, oh yeah, I'll take care of that, or I'll do this, or I'll do that, and they don't do it. Drives me crazy, Jacob. I can't stand it. And I strive to be a man of my word. Now, I realize life happens and sometimes people cannot live up to their word. That's life, and I'm very understanding. But there are times where there are zero excuses, and if someone can't do something they say they're going to do, makes me go mad. But I strive to do everything I'm going to say I'm going to do. And I get it. I mean, people sometimes forget. Sometimes people get so busy they can't do said thing, but it happens. That's why I've always hated group projects in school. Whenever a teacher says you have to work with a group, I just instantly become very somber and depressed because every time I'm in a group, this isn't always the case, but more often than not, when I get in a group project, I'm the kind of person that wants to get it done as soon as possible so I don't have to worry about it. And everyone else lollygags, and I'll do my part of the project, but everyone else is lazy, and I suffer because of it when the grades come. So that's why I hate group projects, because you have to rely on other people that most of the time you don't know, and because of their lack of effort. Not always, but more often than not in my experience, your grade suffers because of it. So that's purely based on a school thing. I've never really had to work with a group outside of, or at least on certain projects in a work environment per se. But with school, man, group projects, they'll kill you. Lastly is laziness. Everyone deserves a lazy day. I love a good lazy day where I sleep until 3 p.m. and just play video games. And everyone deserves a lazy day. But on days where you cannot afford to be lazy and people are lazy, that also drives me mad. Like I said, I'm guilty of all these things at one point or another. But just pure good old-fashioned laziness when you could be doing something productive or you should be doing something productive and you don't, drives me crazy. Those are my pet peeves, Jacob. You got any off the top of your head before we continue?
I was thinking of one. I don't know. I don't really know if this is a pet peeve, more just, I don't know. But whenever I die in a shooter and like I get so pissed off at myself because I know what I should have done and then I didn't do it and it eats me alive. I hate it. I don't know if that's a pet peeve though.
Yeah, that can be a pet peeve against yourself.
Yeah. I don't know.
I have a couple pet peeves against myself. I don't know about a couple. I'd have to think really hard, but one of mine is that I just don't trust myself at all. And it's typically with very little things. For example, if I think, and I can relate it to video games, if I think, oh, maybe I should go this route or shoot this gun this way, and I get killed because I just choose, for some reason I don't trust myself enough to go with my gut, and I get killed because of it. That's a small example. But there are many life decisions I've made that aren't necessarily impactful or significant in any way, but small life decisions that it would have been more convenient for me to trust my gut and just do what I thought I should have done in that moment. I would have benefited from it. There have been countless moments where I just don't trust my gut, and I go, for some reason, I just always go against it, and I always suffer because of it. And this is a funny story. I may have told this once. Freshman year of high school, my teacher left the room in my physical science class, and she left all of the answers for our quiz on her desk, and a kid just ran up to him and took a picture of all the answers. He goes, guys, I'll text all of you, and we can all get a 100 on the quiz. And me trying to be the good kid, I'm like, I don't think I should do that. That's immoral. So everyone gets the answers. Everyone's taking the quiz when she comes back. Everyone, of course, marks every single correct answer. So me, being the idiot I was, thought, man, if I put all the right answers too and we all get 100s, she's going to know we cheated for sure. Like, how often do classes all get a 100 on a physical science quiz? That's very rare. I'm not going to risk it. I got to be the one kid who gets a couple wrong. And I'm so bad at math, Jacob, that I thought if I get 4 wrong, I should still get an A. And I got a C. I gave myself a C, and I got a 100. I mean, my gut told me, just put the right answers. At least you'll get a 100. You may get in trouble, but you'll get a 100. That's if you don't get caught and she gives us all zeros. I wasn't. This is the mental battle happening inside me, Jacob. I didn't know what to do. Didn't trust my gut. Marked 4 intentionally wrong, and I just cringed doing it because I knew what the right answer. Well, I didn't necessarily know, but I knew what I was supposed to write down for the correct one. But I just went against my gut, marked it wrong. Turned in all the quizzes. Next day comes, and my teacher, I don't know how a teacher could get away with this, but she publicly humiliated me in the whole class when she goes, well, class, I have an announcement. Garrett's the dumbest kid. I mean, she was like very, what's the word I'm looking for? She had a very like dry sense of humor. I knew she was kidding, but it was humiliating being a young kid.
Who was this?
I can't remember her name. She had very poofy hair. She was short and stubby. She was a science teacher. I can't recall any of our other friends having her for a teacher.
She was short and plump.
She was plump.
I remember this teacher.
Okay, I don't remember her name, but she was funny, and now I can laugh about it because it is hilarious. But she goes, well, it looks like Garrett's the dumbest kid in the class because he's the only one that got a C and everyone else got 100, so congratulations to all of you. And everyone, after class, everyone's like, you idiot, why didn't you write down the answers? I sent them to you. I was like, I was afraid. So I got a C on my freaking quiz when I could have got 100.
Come on, man.
That's just an example of not trusting my gut. Little things like that happen all the time in my life.
You should do like 1 or 2 wrong.
I'm getting better about it, though, because I finally hit a point in my life. I'm like, why can I not trust myself? And I finally was just like, even if and this is dramatic, but I don't care if I die. I'm just going to trust myself. I have to. I mean, what good am I if I can't trust myself? How am I supposed to trust anyone? So I've begun improving that aspect of my life, Jacob. Any more from you?
Every time you say, whenever we're next to each other, whenever you sing.
I sing?
Yeah, whenever you sing, Gimme Jacob. I hate that. I'm not going to lie, I hate that. I don't know why I hate it, but I do.
Is it because of the source material?
No, I just hate it.
Okay.
I can't tell you why.
That's weird.
I know.
I know it pisses you off, and that's part of why I do it. But
because I've talked to you about it before, like I've said, why do you say that?
You know why? It's because you have the perfect amount of letters and syllables in your name to sing the song.
Same as pizza?
Yeah, for reference, it's a Mary-Kate and Ashley song from when they were kids. I've
seen that video, and it pisses me off, too.
Yeah. My sister and I don't know why I watch this with my sister, but we used to watch all the Mary-Kate and Ashley videos when we were kids. And one of them, they sing about pizza, which is a song I sing every single time I eat pizza. They're like, give me
sing this every time you eat pizza.
Yeah, pretty much. It at least goes through my mind. They're like, give me pizza. Pizza. But my favorite version is the slow-mo version on YouTube. You can find it like, give me pizza. It's hilarious. So both Casey and Jacob have, like I said, the perfect amount of syllables and letters in their name to do it. So, for example, for Casey, I go, give me Casey, C-A-S-E-Y. And it's just so stupid. I don't know why I do it. But every now and then, it'll pass through my mind. And it's very subconscious thought. I don't just choose, I'm going to sing the song right now. It just subconsciously comes out of me. And I'll go, give me Jacob. J-A-C-O-B. And it pisses you off. I'm sorry, Jacob. I imagine I pissed you off just now.
A little bit.
I'm sorry. Any more pet peeves? What about me specifically? Anything else I do that pisses you off? How about when I text you, like, you want to shoot a video today? Like, every day? God
damn it.
I guess so.
No, it didn't piss me off. It does when I have to get up early.
I feel you.
That sucks.
I kind of like getting up early for videos every now and then. It depends.
When do we get up early for videos?
E3.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember
it's a long time ago.
When we would get up to watch Microsoft conference on those Monday mornings. It's typically 9 or 10 our time. And I literally just roll out of bed onto the couch and just half asleep the whole Microsoft conference.
I'll never forget the year that I went to the beach with Zach, and we watched E3 at the beach. Mm-hmm. It was interesting. That was the same year that Last of Us came out.
Yeah, I remember that. I do remember you guys were at the beach, and I was jealous.
And we were in the apartment, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, because I remember I had to stay because of school.
Mm-hmm. That was when we first moved in. That was like the summer.
I think that was the first E3 Preston and I actually spent together, because Preston and I would basically be on the phone the entire E3 conference back in the day when we were kids, but that one year we were in the apartment. It was the first time we sat together, and of course, our tradition that we still do today, Microsoft happens, we go get Taco Bell, come back, wait for Ubisoft. That happens, and Sony comes up, and by Sony's conference, we've ordered pizza and wings at this point.
Right. Yeah, we spent the whole day inside. We were at the beach, and we stayed inside all day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's a great story. Next one comes from Gerard, or Gard.
Gard.
I think it has 2 A's. Gard?
I don't know. Tell us how to say your name in the comments.
Yeah, that'd be great if you're able to pronounce in the comments. I'd be impressed.
We don't mean to make fun of you.
No.
At least I didn't.
Gard. Even if your name was just Gard, I think it's a pretty cool name. He says, you already had this question about toilet paper, but how about a bidet? Have you ever used one, and how did you like it?
I don't know what this is.
Okay, Jacob, this is the toilet that washes your ass instead of you having to wipe.
Ooh.
Now this is
a little splashing sensation.
Oh yes. Now this kind of frightens me. Gard, I have not used a bidet, but my father has, and he said it was a very interesting experience. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to other people that have used one. It's where you're sitting on the toilet, you press a button, and a rocket of water just shoots up your butt.
It like a jet stream?
It is like a jet stream.
Or is it just a little splash?
No, it's a jet stream because it's got to really get in there.
What if it gets in up? What if it goes up there?
I think it might a little bit unless you clinch. But if you're clinching, you're not getting any flow.
Still, you might have some seepage, you know?
Right. But see, that's horrifying to me, because what if there's a slight delay where you push the button? What if it counted down like 5, 4, open your ass, 3.
You're like, they're not going out, better relax.
Aqua probing incoming, and just fires up your butt, and then that just sounds horrifying to me.
Just comes out your mouth.
Yeah, oh my, that'd be violent. It sounds like a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Yeah.
But see, that sounds very frightening to me. Now, if I ever have the opportunity to try one, of course I will try one. But no, I have not. But I've heard it's quite exhilarating. And to me, it sounds scary, but I'm open to trying it. Would you try it, Jacob?
I guess I'd try it.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's a wash and dry option. Or maybe it's wash and then you still wipe afterwards.
Yeah, how do you dry it? You got to dry with toilet paper?
Can you imagine one of those Dyson Extreme hand blowers drying your butt when you're on the toilet?
And it's in the toilet.
Oh, gosh.
Just blowing up.
I don't know if that exists or not. But if you're able to describe to us exactly how a bidet works other than the water shooting into your rectum, that'd be convenient. Andreas123 says, to carry on the poop conversation, do you wipe sitting down or standing up? I've had this debate with many people, and I'm surprised by how many people stand up to wipe.
It depends.
I was going to say it also depends on the toilet for me. Now, you tell me why it depends for you.
The toilet does matter. If you're in public, you don't want to sit down.
No, absolutely not.
You don't. Mm-mm. But, I mean, if the toilet's clean in public, I'll make the exception. Like today, I was running my route, and I had to go really bad. Like it was an emergency.
That's the worst.
But I happened to go to this place that had a really nice toilet. I was like, this is going to work. This is going to be fine. So I did my business on the clean toilet, and I sat down.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
I don't know why I told that story.
Yeah, well, that's a great example. Yeah, it does.
Right.
It does depend on the toilet. Like Jacob said, public toilets. Now, if it's a public toilet that looks reasonably clean, I'll still cover it with layers of toilet paper and create a little cushioned throne for myself.
Yeah, that's an option.
And
too.
I'll sit then, but that's rare in a public toilet. But it really, I shouldn't say, when I say it depends on the toilet, it really depends on the scale and proportion of the toilet. For example,
what if you get a little tiny toilet?
see, my toilet in my house is a great size. I fit on it perfectly. It's like I was born for this toilet. Now, now
I think it's just your toilet.
Now, not your toilet, but at our apartment, mine and Preston's toilet was essentially built for gnomes. Because it was the tiniest thing that I'm saying when you squat, my knees...
That's why you guys always came into our toilet.
I snuck into your toilet whenever I had the opportunity. Especially when you were gone, I'd always go to your toilet.
Oh, thanks.
So
when I would come back and it would smell like crap.
now, that was not... Well, maybe it was me once or twice. I don't know. But... Anyway, our toilet was so small that when you squatted on this toilet, I'm not even kidding, my ears came up to practically my ears. If you can imagine what that looks like. My legs are practically above my head. It's so low to the ground and so tiny that I literally had no choice but to, for almost a straight year when we lived in that apartment, I had to stand up every time to wipe. It was very inconvenient, especially considering the fact that our bathroom had one of those fans that makes you think it's working due to the sound, but in fact, it was not working. So it was cramped, it was hot, and we sat on a little gnome toilet for a year. It was awful. But other than that, I can afford to sit on my own toilet. And
Man, you really had it rough.
It's funny because when I came back to my house after a full year, I'd forgotten what a normal toilet feels like. And it's funny, that was one of the biggest things I was looking forward to when we left the apartment. Although it was very sad to leave, I was so excited to get back to my normal sized toilet. So,
okay.
Yeah, it just depends on the scale of the throne you reside on. Next one comes from Sam Harris. It says, "Hey dudes, my family's planning on taking a trip to Disney World next year for a whole week. Do y'all have any suggestions or recommendations when it comes to rides, food, and shops? Thanks. Y'all are the best." Well, Sam, you are the best, my friend, especially because you get to go to Disney World for a full week. Those are the best trips ever to me.
Let's break this down into 3 sections. We'll do rides, food, and shops.
You got it. That's brilliant, Jacob. Why
Why
don't you start us off? How about, before we talk about specific rides, let me talk about the ultimate way to take advantage of all the parks, and then we'll break it down into sections.
You can talk about the park hopper?
That's important, yes. This is the first thing, Sam Wise. Please listen carefully. This is crucial for you to have the very best Disney experience. Now, I don't know if you're going for a full 7 days or 5 days, but I'm going to give a 5-day example, because typically when I go to Disney for a week, it's about 5 or 6 days total.
Same.
So, first thing you want to do is acquire. Now, I don't know the exact title. You can Google this and find out or go to Disney's website. This will completely revolutionize your experience. Buy the meal pass or meal deal, whatever it's called, because what this does is you pay ahead of time for every single bit of food you're going to eat, to where it literally gives you...
Except for snacks.
No, a snack. Well, there's a deal where you can buy snacks as well.
Okay, we've never done that.
Okay, there's a deal where when you prepay, you can literally go to any restaurant, any snack stand, anything at all. You want food, it's already paid for. You hand out this card or wristband and they scan it and they just give it to you. You can literally eat endlessly all day long, every day, and you've already paid for it all. Now that sounds, whoa, that must be super expensive. Now it is a little more expensive when you add it to the ticket, but if you're staying for more than 3 days, in your case a week, it is totally worth investing in that, because every time you want to eat, you don't have to worry like, oh, we're spending a lot of money on food. We should probably hold back. No, dude. You want that ice cream, you get it. You want that cotton candy 10 minutes later, you go get that too, because it's all paid for. It's amazing. Secondly, like Jacob said, the park hopper is crucial for a 5-day experience. Now, granted, when you go for 5 days, you have plenty of time to enjoy a single park every single day. But this is the best. Now, I've been in situations where I go to Disney and I want to go to every park in one day. I'll get Park Hopper and literally do all parks in one day and just ride the best rides.
Usually when we go, we do 1 park a day.
Mm-hmm. But if you're going multiple days like you are, this is the best option, because Park Hopper enables you at any point. Now, you don't have to do this, but let's say you're at Magic Kingdom. Like, hey, we've kind of been here for 8 hours straight. Why don't we go do something at Animal Kingdom? You can literally just go to the park and walk in with your Park Hopper and no one stops you. It's great. But the reason why I like a Park Hopper on a week-long trip is because of this. Magic Kingdom stays open far longer than all the other parks. I believe all the other parks close around 9 or 10, and Magic Kingdom stays open, depending on the day, between midnight and 1 a.m. So that park's always open a few hours longer than the others. So what we like to do is, let's say today's Monday, it's Animal Kingdom Day. You go to Animal Kingdom all day, you exhaust everything you can do in that park. Hey, the park's closing. Why don't we go to Magic Kingdom for a few hours till it closes? And this gives you the option that not only do you have a full Magic Kingdom day at some point during the week, but every single night you go to any other park, you can still go to Magic Kingdom afterwards and just get a week-long Magic Kingdom experience, including a full day in addition to all the other parks. So that's a huge benefit as well.
I have two things.
Let's hear it.
If you have the opportunity, stay at a Disney resort, because they are nice places, especially the one that I like the most. It is called the Wilderness Lodge. It is not a campground. It is a huge log cabin hotel, and it is awesome. Have you ever stayed there or seen it?
The last time I stayed there, I was a very young child, so I don't remember what it was like. I've seen it from a distance, and it's glorious.
I've stayed there 3 times, and they have like a little food court in the bottom, and there's restaurants inside, and there's tons of rooms, and there's this cool like fireplace at the bottom of the lodge, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have the opportunity, stay at any of the lodges, because especially like after a long day, you could go to Animal Kingdom and you like go back to your hotel, you like shower up, get ready for dinner. And speaking of dinner, make reservations to restaurants that you want to go to, because they will, run out of seats. Especially if you go like in the summer. Mm-hmm. So like if there's a particular restaurant that you want to go to, make sure you plan ahead of time.
Yeah, I think at that point, you almost, in certain times of the year, you almost have to plan weeks or at least a month in advance.
We used to plan our trips like years ahead.
Yeah, just in case. Yeah. Because they do book up fast. So any I don't know if you can describe them as high end, but some of the bigger, fancier, more exciting restaurants do require reservations.
The more you plan ahead, the better your trip's going to be.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a fact.
And good call on the resorts, because that because that just maintains the magical feeling the entire trip. Because if you're coming and going from Disney, it's still magical when you get there, but when you are at a resort, you just always feel that Disney magic the entire time.
And you can just take buses around too, which is really nice.
Exactly. The bus system at Disney is incredible.
Yeah, you save a lot of gas.
I mean, it's like clockwork over there. And it makes sense because they are open 24 hours, not 24 hours a day, but they're open literally every single day of the year. And it's amazing. And whenever I think about that, it blows my mind how Disney has been open that long every single day for years.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Even on like Christmas and all the holidays.
Yeah. So Jacob,
another thing.
What?
If you stay at the Wilderness Lodge, there's a boat ride to and from Magic Kingdom.
You're right. Yeah,
it's nice.
That's magical as well. So
what more can you ask for?
Now that we've talked about the essentials, or as you'd like to describe them, the must-needs, why don't we talk about our favorite rides and shops and restaurants?
Okay.
You want to start us off?
I can.
What park are you going to start with?
Let's do Hollywood Studios, because it has the best rides.
Okay. See, I disagree.
That's crazy. Why would you disagree with that?
But I know why you say that.
It has the best 2 rides, hands down.
Just know I totally sympathize. I even empathize, but I don't necessarily
It has the 2
agree.
best rides. Mm-hmm. You can't dispute that. No one can.
I wouldn't say they're the best, but I will say they're the most thrilling rides. But to me, that doesn't make them the best.
Well, they are the best.
Okay, well,
you're wrong.
Describe the rides for Sam.
Well, it's the Rock and Roller Coaster, featuring Aerosmith, of course. Mm-hmm. My favorite ride of all time. I love that ride. Especially like the takeoff from the beginning. It's so awesome. And also Tower of Terror, which is right next to it. Very thrilling sensation of, falling in the elevator and then being thrown back up repeatedly.
And it's a classic.
Yeah, and it's got the whole Twilight Zone theme, which is really cool.
The Hollywood Tower.
I've heard that they're thinking about redesigning it or something. Is that right?
Well, currently
because they're losing the rights or something.
I don't know about Hollywood Studios in Florida, but I do know at Disneyland they've already redesigned Tower of Terror to the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think that's what I heard.
And I actually just watched a point of view. It's on trending on YouTube right now, but you can watch a point of view experience of what it looks like now, and it looks awesome. But you can see that it's just a Guardians of the Galaxy skin over Tower of Terror. But they really did do an amazing job. There's an animatronic Rocket Raccoon that takes you through the whole ride and looks awesome. A lot of it's a mix how Disney does everything now, and a lot of those parks out there is it's a mix between the ride itself and animatronics, and also a lot of digital stuff as well, which I think is a really cool blend. It works well. But yeah, what about Star Tours at Hollywood Studios?
Yeah. It's definitely
Star Tours is awesome.
Yep. Especially since they've been updating it for like the new movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And those of you that have been to Disney know what we're talking about. And you may already know what we're talking about when we say Star Tours, but it's a play on words. It's a Star Wars ride where it's a tour. It's like a tour bus system in the lore of Star Wars that takes attendees on a tour around the galaxy, and it's very fun.
Yeah.
So it's led by C-3PO, and you encounter Finn along the ride. You encounter a couple other people.
There's different ones, right?
I think there's 2 different ones, but I can't remember the difference. I just know the one I've ridden does differ. There's like 2 different versions. It just depends on which one you get stuck on. So it's worth riding it multiple times so you can get both experiences. But those are 3 great rides. And shout out to, what's that ride called? The Great Hollywood Experience or something.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's something like that. I can't remember.
It's if you're a movie buff. Now it's a very old ride. It's more of a nostalgia thing.
I really like it.
But if you want to just cool off and enjoy a nice slow ride and go down memory lane of some great Hollywood classics, ride it's called like the Great Hollywood something. But it's in the dead center of Hollywood Studios, and you go in and it's just a very, very slow boat ride through the history of cinema, of all these classic movies, led by a host who's actually an actor. This is what I love about some of the older Disney rides, where there's a character played by a human being who acts out a role the entire ride. So that's a really fun one as well if you just want to get out of the sun and just chill for a bit.
One last in Hollywood Studios is the Toy Story ride.
Toy Story is, I'll take it back, Jacob. That is one of the best rides in all of the Disney parks is Toy Story. I think it is. You know why I love it? Because not only is the technology unbelievable, but the aesthetic of waiting in line is awesome.
It does have the best line in the whole park.
Yeah, the music's incredible, and also just the competitive nature of you and your friends playing the shooting game is so much fun. I love that ride. So yeah, shout out to Toy Story.
I could do that at home though. Like I can have a competitive round of games.
Yeah, but
home.
being at Disney World in the world of Toy Story with your best friends.
I get it. I just don't think it's like one of the best rides, but I think I really enjoy the ride. It's good.
Any more Hollywood that we're forgetting?
No, let's just do like the very best at each park.
Okay.
I don't want to spin forever on this.
I feel you. What are we moving on to?
Let's go to Magic Kingdom.
Okay. This is my personal favorite park.
All right. What's your favorite ride then?
My favorite ride of all of them is Splash Mountain.
It's a good ride. It used to be my favorite.
One of my favorites because I love waiting in line for that ride, and I also
That's the thing about Disney. All their lines are great.
They are. Yeah, even when you're waiting for essentially an hour or more.
It still sucks, but there's things to look at.
Yeah, so at least there's plenty to look at and listen to, and even smell. There's this smell, especially in Magic Kingdom. Now, I'm under the impression, Sam, that you haven't been to Disney World, but if you have, you already know all this, and I'm sure a lot of you out there know this, but when you're walking down Main Street of Magic Kingdom, not only is it the sight of Cinderella's castle in the distance and all the beauty of the buildings lining the street and all the happy people, but the smell that's in the air, that I can't describe it. It's like a sweet, ice creamy / bakery smell.
Like cotton candy smell, popcorn.
It just smells like magic. I mean, if I had to describe the smell of magic, it'd be Main Street of Magic Kingdom. But Splash Mountain, phenomenal, love it. And it's the longest ride out of all the Disney parks as well. I think it's about 9 minutes long. So just the wait is worth it because it's a very fun boat ride with multiple slopes and the big one at the end. So great ride. What's another one you like at Magic Kingdom? I could name plenty, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Space Mountain.
Space Mountain for sure.
All the mountains.
All the mountains. There are multiple mountains in Magic Kingdom. So Splash Mountain, right next to it is Thunder Mountain.
Yeah.
Great roller coaster.
Probably my favorite ride there is the three little dwarves. The Seven Dwarves minecart ride.
Yeah. Yeah, that's new. Yeah, it's pretty new. It's only a couple years old now.
I like how smooth the ride is.
Very smooth. Yeah, it's one of those high-tech roller coasters now that's just, you can't even hear it. It's so smooth.
And I just love Snow White. I grew up with that movie. So
one of them, and I experienced this. I had this experience twice, but the first time it was Casey and I. When we rode that ride for the first time, it happened while the fireworks were going off in Magic Kingdom. And we were riding, and you remember this because the second time it happened, you were with us. But we were riding the roller coaster and sitting right next to each other, and the fireworks were going off. We were riding through this section of the roller coaster. You can see the castle and the fireworks. It was very magical. Same thing happened when we went back, except you and my girlfriend rode together, and I rode by some extremely fat guy where I was basically falling out of the seat the whole time. So it wasn't quite as magical for me the second time, but I did glance into the large man's eyes.
Please let this be over.
And gave him a smirk as the fireworks were going off the second time we rode.
Want a kiss?
You want to make out, dude? I mean, this is pretty magical. We shouldn't let it pass by. But another great ride. As you said, Space Mountain's awesome. There's a lot of good rides there. What's another one that I'm forgetting? I go to Disney so often.
The Pirates, right?
Oh, of course. Pirates of the Caribbean, a classic.
Yeah.
And it's funny because a previous time I went, the Pirates of the Caribbean was shut down. Like, we're making these crazy new additions that we've been wanting to do for over a decade, and they're finally doing it, blah, 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 blah. And they hyped it up. And we're like, dang it, I'm so upset we can't ride it. But when we come back 6 months from now, we'll get to ride it then. We come back, and it was essentially the exact same ride. I have no idea what they did differently. And I know that ride very well. And they redesigned it a couple of times, especially after the movies came out. But this latest design, I did not notice a single difference. Maybe it was an audio thing. I don't know. But Pirates of the Caribbean and another classic ride, the Haunted Mansion.
I've never been a fan of the Mansion.
Dude, I love the Mansion.
I always wanted it to be scary.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not necessarily. I mean, it's not. I'm sure it scares little kids, maybe.
Yeah, right.
But
you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
like a real haunted house ride.
I've never really wanted to be scared from it. I just love the vibe. I love the narrator of the whole ride. Mm-hmm. You're a ghost host. I love that guy. Love riding in the coffin through the whole ride. Just the way the whole mansion looks, and even the technology. And it was built forever ago, decades ago, and it still looks awesome. Still impressive. So that's another one that's been updated slightly over time, but those are all phenomenal rides. We forgetting anything at Magic Kingdom?
Nah.
Buzz Lightyear. It's another great ride.
No.
I just love it, again, for nostalgia. It's great.
It's not that good.
Toy Story at Hollywood Studios takes everything you do in Buzz Lightyear and takes it to the 10th degree. It's 10 times better, but Buzz Lightyear is a lot of fun, especially if you love Toy Story. Star Command is actually based off the Buzz Lightyear animated show. You ever watch that show? It was a great show. Didn't last long. Zurg was in it. Remember Zurg?
I remember Zurg from Toy Story 2.
I love that scene. It was like, no, Buzz, I am your father. Obviously, it's a blatant ripoff of Star Wars, but it's so funny. All those movies are good. So moving on to, how about Animal Kingdom, Jacob?
Has probably my second favorite ride ever, which is, what's it called?
Expedition Everest.
Expedition Everest.
Phenomenal ride.
Yep. That's my favorite line, is walking through that.
Expedition Everest.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I do like that line, but I like many other lines better than that one. I see why you like it.
I just like the whole mystery behind it.
Right. It is cool because they amp up the legend of the Yeti the whole time.
Or Yeti. Bigfoot.
Yeah, the Yeti.
It's been so long
the abominable snowman, we should say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it does hype you up the whole time you're waiting in line because there's all these relics of footprints of the quote-unquote Yeti, and there's ripped tents and flags of ancient drawings of the Yeti. He looks horrifying, and there's like fossils and stuff. It's like the Yeti, you know, he resides on Mount Everest and blah, 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 blah. It's just a fantastic roller coaster.
I remember I rode it the year it came out, luckily, and my uncle was telling me, I was like, oh, this roller coaster, you go up to the highest point and then you go backwards. I was like, whoa, that's so awesome.
Right.
And then you in fact do go backwards at one point.
You do. Fun. It's sad and an embarrassing story about that. I may have mentioned this at some point on the podcast, but I had the chance to essentially beta test that roller coaster when it first came out. I was in 7th grade when I was living in Orlando. And my buddy, for his birthday, we went to Disney, and this has happened to me on 2 occasions at Disney. I had the chance to beta test Mission Space at Epcot, which we'll get to, which I chickened out on because they told us this is the most intense ride Disney's ever made. And I was like, I'm not doing it then. So I didn't get to beta test that one.
I guess it kind of is.
And I chickened out on Everest too. I didn't beta test that. And my friend and his family made fun of me while I sat and they rode the ride. This is back in the time where I was still I didn't start riding roller coasters till 8th grade. And ever since then, I've ridden the biggest and baddest I can find. It's nothing anymore. But when I was a kid, I was terrified of roller coasters. So I did eventually ride it. And as Jacob said, it's a great ride. You do go backwards, so prepare yourself.
You may encounter someone.
You may encounter a creature of some sort. The legends, the myths, they may or may not be true. We can't confirm.
Yes.
So
the Cali River Rapids.
Cali River Rapids is a great one.
Yes.
You get wet.
You get wet.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
Yeah. If you're going, this is a great option, I think. If you're going on a hot day and it's going to be your last ride of the day, totally worth getting soaked on the ride. But if you get soaked in the middle of the day, see, I can deal with it. But Preston, for example, hates getting wet, so he refuses to ride water rides, and I don't blame him. I've been to parks with Preston before, and he's been in misery when he gets wet. So he would have said that if he was on this episode. Cali River Rapids is awesome. I love the animal safari ride. I always forget the name of it.
It's very good.
So that's a fun one. It literally feels like you're in Africa going through the safari and seeing lions and elephants, alligators, giraffes. What else is there? Hippos are there. Anything else? I mean, there's countless animals.
Yeah, there's pretty much any African safari animal is there.
It's like the best zoo experience you can get because you feel like you're really there.
Yeah. There's the dinosaur ride.
I love the dinosaur ride.
I've never been a huge fan, but I appreciate it.
And you and I disagree on a lot of rides. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been to Disney before, but only to Magic Kingdom together, right? Yeah,
we went to Hollywood Studios.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
just those two, I think.
Yeah, I'm amazed at how much our ideas are contrasting here. Our ideas of fun at Disney World.
Agree to disagree.
Right.
I think we can both agree, though, at Epcot, the best thing about that place is the countries, not the rides.
Yes, that is what's unique about Epcot. It gives you the chance to have a small taste of, not obviously not every country, but some major countries from around the world. They literally call it around the world because you go in a massive circle and visit major countries throughout the world.
That's why it's my favorite park, is it just that fact alone, is because it's so it's unique. Mm-hmm. It's cool just walking through them all.
And I will say Epcot has the least amount of awesome rides, but the overall experience, you can get so much out of it. Epcot is a park that you have to, for sure.
No, I'd say Animal Kingdom probably has the least amount of rides.
That's true. I'll say
good
that.
rides, but
yeah. I mean, Epcot does have some good ones.
I mean, Animal Kingdom has arguably one of the best rides. So
that's true.
Everest.
That's true. But Epcot definitely needs a full day because there's so much to do there. Sometimes you can go more on 2 days because there's so much to do there.
We should do a Disney podcast.
We should, man. I could talk about Disney for this. This will probably be the main topic. But
main topic
of Ask IOG. But yeah, all the multiple countries. We could name countless good restaurants to eat at in all the various countries. I mean, there's Japan, China,
Italy's
France,
good.
Italy, Germany.
I don't know the names of the restaurants. Mexico is good.
I have one specifically I'm going to name that I promise you have to go to, for whether it be a snack or a full meal, whatever it is.
Which
you have
country
to go.
are we in?
It's in Mexico.
Is it inside that little,
the pyramid?
Yeah.
Now, when you get to Mexico,
is it a pyramid?
It's a well, it looks like an Aztec type pyramid.
Yeah.
I don't know if you call it a pyramid,
it's
but it's called the Mexico Pavilion Restaurant. But I would describe it as a pyramid, but it's not necessarily.
I'm pretty sure I've eaten there.
Pyramid. Oh yeah, I think you might have. but this is just the outside of it looks amazing in its scale, and you go into the pyramid and there's all kinds of little shops. You feel like you've literally transported yourself into Mexico itself. It's magical. You get in there and there's all these tiny little shops inside, and there's this beautiful candlelit restaurant down in this sloped area where there's in the distance a volcano. It's all like starlit. It looks like you're in a starry dark night in some magical evening in Mexico. There's a volcano in the distance that shoots off meteors and stuff subtly in the distance, and there's a river ride that runs through the restaurant that you can always see people passing by the restaurant in this river ride, and it's called the Three Amigos Tour ride. It's the Three Little Ducks from whatever Disney show that is.
It's I don't know what show.
Yeah, but what I love about this restaurant is it's great Mexican cuisine. Now, I've had way better Mexican food elsewhere, but this food is good because it's Disney. You can get a great Mexican meal, and then as soon as you're done, as I said, just the beauty of this place is awesome. You just want to sit and take it all in. It's very peaceful, and it gets you out of the sun as well. But the best part about it is you can eat your food, and you can immediately go ride the very peaceful and slow Mexican themed Three Amigos ride, riverboat ride, where you can get that ride in and just chill, let your food settle, because it's not a long wait, but you wait, and by the time you get off the ride, you're good to go ride something crazy after that. But that's an awesome experience at Epcot. I highly suggest. And for dessert, the best ice cream in Epcot. Now all the soft syrup ice cream is the same, I'm pretty sure, throughout all the Disney parks. Now there's the classic Disney cones and Mickey heads and stuff, but I'm talking about soft syrup. It's totally different. The best soft syrup you can get is in France in Epcot, and is directly across from the main restaurant. It's a little kiosk, and these are actual French people that fluently speak French. I mean, they aren't just all. I mean, I'm sure some of them are acting, but most of these people, it'll say in their name tag their name and what country they're from. So it's the real deal, and that you really do feel like you're in this country. I know it'd be cooler to go to the real thing, but you can pretend that you're in France. But they have incredible, I'm talking some of the best I've ever had soft serve ice cream. If you're a fan of ice cream like myself, that chocolate and vanilla swirl, that's where you go. That's one thing we agree on, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, I love me some ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, there's
not all the time, but when I want it, I want it.
I'm an ice cream man, Jacob. I live and die by that treat.
I think I'm more of like a solid treat man, like a cookie or a brownie.
I like mixing those things into my ice cream.
Yeah, that's a great combination. Especially the brownie and the ice cream.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's some of the best, Jacob.
Let's not get sidetracked here, though.
Yeah, but okay, let's talk about the rides in Epcot.
So we got Soarin' Race Test Track.
Test Track.
Mission Space. And
shout out to Finding Nemo. Why not?
What's that?
It's the ride that's you get in. It's similar to Haunted Mansion, but it's Finding Nemo themed, where you get in the chair and just go through the. It's a very, very childish ride. But if you like Finding Nemo,
seen this.
It's right next to.
You talking about the show at Animal Kingdom?
No. It's a ride. It's tucked into a corner of Epcot. It's not super popular, but I think it's fun.
The ride that takes place inside the Epcot globe.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Oh, I love that ride. It's similar to. It's called Spaceship Earth. It's similar to, what was I talking about? The Hollywood Studios ride where you'd go on the movie thing.
It's like you're going through history. Through all the technological advances.
Mm-hmm. Now, that ride is one I'd say that probably should be updated, but I don't think, at the same time, I don't think they should.
I think they keep adding on to it, though. Like, as the years pass.
They haven't added on to the ride itself, but the interaction with your chair, the screen on your chair has updated. But it is in the giant golf ball, the Epcot ball, and you just go in that's the slowest ride in all of the parks, but it's the most relaxing.
Plays what Splash Mountain was.
No, Splash Mountain's not slow. There's slow parts of Splash Mountain, but it's always exciting, all the things happening. There's multiple slopes in Splash Mountain. But this ride, sit in a chair, very, very slowly go through the golf ball. But it's a great way to get out of the sun. You start with the beginning of mankind all the way up until now. And when I say now, I think the ride was finished in the 80s or something. But it's still cool to see how humans have progressed throughout time. Great way to relax and chill. I've actually slept on the ride before. That's how slow it is. And if you got a girlfriend, it's a great ride to make out with your girlfriend on. Now, I haven't done that in middle school. I wanted to do that. I'm like, man, this is a great opportunity to make out with a girl. I didn't have a girlfriend in middle school. But I've been with Casey, and we're just so exhausted when we ride this ride. We just hang out and take it all in. We're like, all right, great, cool. But that's a fun one. Test Track is cool because now this ride's been revolutionized a lot. Now the track itself is the same, but you basically ride in a race car and you build your custom. It's like building a Hot Wheels car. You build your custom car. It's kind of like in Mario Kart. You choose your cart, your wheels, and your glider, but you choose all these different specs like your wheels, your engine, the way your car is shaped, the aerodynamics of it, blah, 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 blah. Throughout the entire ride, you're constantly updating portions of your car. And by the time you get on the ride, you insert this thing that brings up all the people, whoever's riding with you, all your cars come up. And while you're racing through the track, the car you designed is getting points based on all the tests you go through. And I've never beaten Casey. She beats me every time, her custom designed car. So it's a cool ride, though. It's unique that you're building a car and then you get to see it compete against the other cars. So Mission Space. So when I mentioned earlier, I had a chance to beta test and I freaked out. My aunt, when she beta tested it, destroyed the ride because it scared her so bad. But that's a true story. But that's a pretty fun space ride. And it's brutal to the point where they literally give you two options when you show up to the line. They say, here's the green card for the wimpy ride, and here's the orange card for the one that will kill you if you have a brain problem or something. So
it's not that bad.
It's really not that bad, but it is if you're not comfortable.
Makes your stomach turn a little bit.
Yeah, if you're not comfortable with violently spinning in circles, which you don't necessarily feel like you are, because when you're looking at the screen, it feels like you're launching into space, but you're literally just spinning in circles the whole time to make it feel like you're floating through space and everything. So, anything else we're leaving out at Epcot?
I don't think so.
Okay. Do we have any more? Is that all of them? That's all of them, isn't it?
Well, we didn't talk about Soarin', but...
Yeah, Soarin's fine. You know,
I've never been a big fan of Soarin' either. I'm glad we agree on that.
Yeah, Soarin's just a 4D glider ride.
See, that's my mom's favorite ride, and I've never understood why.
Yeah, you just look at a big IMAX screen the whole time.
I like the smells and stuff they do for it.
I do. The 4D aspect is nice, but when that first came out, it was the same day I was in, not the same day, but when I was also living in Florida at the time. It was the same day I freaked out on Everest and didn't want to ride it. But later on in that day, Soarin' had just opened the week before, and my buddy and his family were hell-bent on riding it. And we waited 3.5 hours to ride it. It's the longest I've ever waited to ride a ride. And it wasn't worth it. That was like half our day gone to Soarin'. So I think that covers everything. There are so many shops to go in, but if you see a shop at Disney, just go in it, even if it is just to explore, because all of them have something unique to offer.
Plus they have AC if it's hot outside. So.
Exactly. There's always something to see everywhere you go in Disney, so I encourage you to explore it all.
That's why you should go to one park a day so you can see it all.
Yeah, and I got to apologize to everyone tuning in. If you hate Disney or Disney World, I'm so sorry if we just bored you to death for however long we talked about Disney.
Have you ever eaten at the Beauty and the Beast castle? It's new.
I've walked up to the door, but I've not gone inside.
That's good. Well, it's just regular food, but it's cool. And also, I ate in Cinderella's castle one time.
Did you?
That's when I got all those pictures with the princesses and stuff. Really, it's one of the best Disney meals I've had. It's good
believe
food.
it. Yeah, there are so many good places.
It's an expensive place to reserve too.
Mm-hmm.
Very expensive.
I bet. Yeah, Sam, just I'll be honest, I'm very jealous that you and your family are going to go to Disney for a week, but you're going to have an absolute blast. I trust that you will. And I hope our tips have helped you out in some way, shape, or form. The next one, at long last, Jacob, comes from Jared B. He says, okay, guys, here's a very important question. How many donuts do you think you can eat in 9 minutes? I'm thinking I could do a dozen, but the world record is 60 donuts. If I ate 60 donuts, I'd probably die. And out of the 3 of you, in this case 2 of us, Jacob, who could eat the most donuts?
You.
I probably could. No, I take that back. Preston can, because he
said 2 of us.
I'm going to give a shout out. Now, out of the 2 of us, I could probably eat the most donuts, yes, but especially if they're Krispy Kreme. If I let myself... the whole dozen. If I let myself go, I could easily eat a whole dozen, but I'm afraid to do so because my mom said when she was in high school, she went to pick up Krispy Kreme donuts for her and her friends, and she just wasn't thinking on the way back and ate the entire one. She got like 6 boxes, but she ate 12 out of 1 box. She said she just was violently sick for like a day and a half after that from eating that many Krispy Kreme donuts. So I'm hesitant when I eat them. I never eat more than 4. I think the most I've ever eaten in one sitting is 4.
Never eat more than 4.
And then 20 minutes will go by and I'll have a 5th.
My God.
But there have been mornings where I'll wake up and have 4 Krispy Kreme donuts for breakfast.
Jeez.
It's sugar overload, but they're so good.
Like, they are very good, like, right when you get them.
Oh, man.
They're so good.
There's nothing like it. That
might be what the best treat in the world is, just eating a fresh donut.
Mm-hmm. Krispy Kreme, especially for me. This is my order of favorite snacks. Number of sweet snacks. And snacks, I like many salty snacks too, but as far as sweets are concerned, my favorite snack in the world is the classic glazed Krispy Kreme donut. Second, I'm talking very close. I'm talking Krispy Kreme passes the finish line maybe a millisecond after is Auntie Anne's cinnamon pretzels.
Really? You like that more than ice cream?
I do, yeah. But lastly would be soft serve ice cream, chocolate and vanilla swirl.
It's like your treats.
If I had to, like we were talking about on Outlast recently, our last meal, my dessert would include Krispy Kreme donuts, cinnamon pretzels, and soft serve ice cream.
Might as well just make that your meal. Why not?
It's
your last meal.
But I love so many salty things too. But that's a topic for another time.
Yeah. What
were we talking? The donuts. But Preston told me that his sister and her friend once, he saw them going somewhere. He's like, hey, what are you guys going to do? And like, oh, well, it's our crazy day where we just eat as much crap as we want to without caring. And Preston's like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Where are you guys going? Like, we're going to Krispy Kreme to just get an assortment of our favorite donuts. We're going to eat all of them. Preston's like, sweet, I'll go with you guys. This is like a year or 2 ago. He told me this story. So they went to Krispy Kreme, and I think he said he ate like 8 or 9 donuts. I think he told it on this podcast, and it disgusted me.
I think I remember that.
But he said he ate a ridiculous amount of donuts. So
maybe he told us about the day that he just ate a ton of crap. I don't know if donuts were involved, but he had like a Whopper and like a bunch of other stuff.
And he's told us about many days he's eaten a lot of crap.
I can't imagine doing any of that stuff.
So
like if I just have fast food one meal a day, I'm done.
I think like the worst, like the most unhealthy food days I've had have included days where I'll have sugary cereal for breakfast, Taco Bell for lunch, and wings for dinner. And when I get done eating all that, I feel like I just need to shower. I feel so gross after it. But I got to tell you, I love every moment of it.
Yeah, it's good.
But yeah, shout out to Preston. I'm sad he's not here, but I'm pretty sure he could eat the most donuts if he wanted to.
I wouldn't do that to myself. I would just have 1 or 2.
Yeah, I try to stick to 2 when I eat them, but it's hard. It's one of the hardest decisions a human being has to make is resisting the call.
Yeah,
of
you
Krispy
always
Kreme.
hate on me for wanting the chocolate glaze more than just the regular glaze.
Well, I'd say it's unfair for me to hate on you because to some people, adding the chocolate glaze just takes the original glaze to the next level.
Yeah.
But the original glaze is just so good that whenever I have a chocolate one,
the original glaze are easier to get down, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a good chocolate glaze.
The chocolate's special though.
But I just love the classic glaze. And I'm the kind of person if I see a Krispy Kreme, I have to stop and get a dozen. Even if I don't eat them, even if I just take them home to my family, I feel like it's a sin to not get Krispy Kreme when you see a Krispy Kreme.
I never get Krispy Kreme donuts.
Dude,
I'm never around them.
Every time I see one, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm like, well, we got to get Krispy Kreme donuts because it's rare to see one. They're spread out few and far between. Next one comes from Bohungalis, Mr. Kyle, also the host of the Thought Patrol podcast.
Oh, check him out.
Check him out. It says, hey guys, I recently heard Garrett had finished Erased and was wondering what both Garrett and Preston's in-depth thoughts on the show, maybe a little review of the show if you're up to it, as a whole, and would you guys recommend it to someone who has never seen an anime before? I don't know if you've watched it, Jacob, so sorry if this question isn't directed to you, but you still beautiful, baby.
Thanks, baby.
Jacob, let's say you have not seen Erased.
No.
I'm not going to.
Does it have anything to do with an eraser?
It does. It's actually about, those colorful erasers you'd put on your pencil when your eraser would be shaven down.
Yeah.
You'd put the colorful. It's all about those erasers.
Those changed the game.
It's it's the story of the individual who invented them. How's that sound to you?
That sounds horrible.
Good thing that's not the real story. No, I'm not going to spoil it.
What if that was what you were known for? The eraser on the end of.
Dude, if you're a billionaire because of that, I would say I'm the eraser man proudly. I'd wear a giant eraser tip on my head like a hat everywhere I went.
So you could erase things.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
You could erase everyone's sour opinions of me of being the eraser man.
Oh, you don't like my eraser hat?
And you just tip your head over and erase their face and they can't speak
just
anymore.
Erase them from existence.
Exactly. Kind of like...
That's what the show's about.
What's his name? Like Sponge Dorg or something in that SpongeBob episode where they draw him and he's crazy. Yeah. I can't remember his name. But that guy used to scare me when I was little.
Yeah,
he was chasing SpongeBob and would erase them.
Stop him.
It's so funny. But no, I don't want to spoil it for you, but the basic synopsis is this man has the ability to essentially go back in time whenever something is wrong.
That's convenient.
In his life or the lives around him, but he doesn't always choose it. I think he eventually gains the ability to choose when he goes back in time, but it's typically random, and he's thrust back in time. He has to figure out how to solve all these problems. But Erased was suggested to me through Preston, and I think it was suggested to him through someone else originally. But this is because I told my girlfriend many times, like, she hates anime for some reason, but I keep telling her, like, there are amazing stories that are told through this style of animation. And Erased is a testament to those, because Erased is incredible. Not only is it incredibly well written, but all the performances are immaculate, and it is very emotionally resonant with me. Because I still think about it whenever it crosses my mind, or in this case, when Kyle mentions the show, I'm recalling all the feelings I felt while watching, and it was incredibly emotional. Although I can't sympathize with the lives of all the characters in the show, I can. The things they go through do resonate with me and have an impact on me emotionally. I'd be lying, Jacob, if I said I did not tear up a bit at the end of the show. It was that emotional, and it was. I don't want to say too much without spoiling it, but I haven't seen that much anime. I mean, I've seen all the big ones, like quote unquote big ones, mainstream ones like Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's be honest, that's the best anime of all time.
Oh, yeah. It's one of my favorites.
Attack on Titan, of course. I've seen half of the first season of Sword Art Online. I have intentions to get back to that eventually. And now Erased, and I'm very soon going to be jumping into One Punch Man, which I'm excited about. But I would highly recommend it to anyone, even if they're not an anime fan. If you just want a really great story, I highly recommend it, Jacob. And I don't know if you have any intentions. I know you've seen Attack on Titan, but if you really want to, it's a one-off too. I think it's 12 or 13 episodes, and it's not multiple seasons, just a solid story from start to finish, and it is totally worth the ride. And a lot of emotion there. It's a roller coaster the whole time. A lot of joys, a lot of pains, a lot of sadness, but in the end, I think you'd really enjoy it.
Okay.
So
I'll think about it, maybe.
Yeah. Kyle, I imagine at some point Preston and I may review stuff like that down the road. I'm not sure. But, it's different ideas. Like we were talking about the possibility of a spoiler cast recently. Maybe we'll do something like that. It'd be cool if the spoiler cast included not only games, but movies and TV shows as well that have spoiler type situations in them or endings.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. I still love that idea. I hope we do it at some point. But Kyle, thank you for your question, my friend. The next one comes from Andre. He says, aside from gaming, I'm a big anime fan. Are you guys fans of anime? And if so, what are your favorite show or favorite shows, if not show? Like we just mentioned, my favorites are ones that most people know of: Attack on Titan, most recently Erased, and Preston's and many others are raving about One Punch Man, so I'm excited to get into that. But Dragon Ball Z, of course.
You ever tried Full Metal Alchemist?
No, but I hear that's great as well. I mean, again, in the back of my mind.
What about Naruto?
Yeah. No, there are countless shows in the back of my mind that have been suggested to me that I do have intentions to eventually watch. Just in the day we live in, there is so much media, television, video games, and movies to consume that I have to pick and choose what I'm going to watch. And it isn't that I don't want to watch those things. I just have other things to get to first, and we'll get to them. And in this case, most recently, it's One Punch Man is my next outlet for anime.
Okay.
So, what are your favorite anime shows, Jacob?
Well, I've never been a huge anime fan. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I don't seek it out, I guess. But, most of the anime I did watch was kind of growing up. I was always a huge fan of Pokemon when it originally came out. I know these are all big in, America and stuff and the Western world. But things like DBZ, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all that kind of stuff. And, a couple of years ago, I watched Attack on Titan, the first season. It was really good. And I'm going to wait till this new season finishes completely so I can just binge watch the whole season.
They're blazing through. They're already halfway through it, more than halfway through it. Nice. I think they're on episode 8. I'm watching either episode 7 or 8 not as we speak. But
you're following along?
Yeah. Because I finished Erased and I wanted more of that. And I knew Attack on Titan had already released several episodes, so it wasn't like I could only just watch one and wait.
Is it good?
Oh, it's awesome. It's very good.
Better than the first season?
Yes, it really is building upon the characters right now.
That's good.
So, a lot has also happened, but primarily it kind of reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where it's expanding upon these characters. You're getting to know them even more and all their backstories and everything that's leading up to this big event.
No, I don't know. I didn't see it.
What of season 2?
No, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, yeah. It's totally off topic. Guardians is more of a character story than it is like a major plot. But awesome movie, though. I don't know if I ever mentioned that I did see it and thought it was great. But I really enjoy Attack on Titan Season 2, and that animation, dude, is beautiful, especially in comparison to Dragon Ball Super. Now, Dragon Ball Super isn't awful, but there are some moments in Super where I'm like, that looks pretty bad.
Are you still watching that?
I have not. I dropped out on it. Not that I don't want to watch
it. It's because one of my episodes didn't record. Now I have to go online.
Sucks.
It's a hassle.
See, I was watching on the Adult Swim app, and that app malfunctions all the time. There was 3 weeks in a row where no new episodes would show up. But the same episode would be listed 2 or 3 times. I remember that.
That was when April Fool's came around.
Oh, was it?
It threw off everything. Because they played that, the night it was supposed to come on, it's that and Samurai Jack didn't come on. It was just Rick and Morty, the new season came on.
Okay. You can't go wrong there either.
Yeah.
But I do want
to
catch up on...
Rick and Morty's great. Have you ever watched Rick and Morty?
I've seen a couple episodes, yeah.
It's very funny.
They have a VR game now out, don't they?
They do.
Now out.
I've heard it's pretty I've heard it's decent.
I think I watched Max Mofo play that game. I think he's hilarious.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. But what were we talking about again? Anime. Yeah, Attack on Titan Season 2 looks beautiful.
Yeah, to wrap it up, I would like to watch more, but like you said, there's so much media around. I have to pick and choose what I want to watch. And that usually doesn't involve anime, unfortunately.
Yeah, hectic times we live in. I find it very difficult to just stop and breathe every now and then. And not just come oh my gosh, there's so much to watch and play. I just mean in life in general. Many people are like this. That's just a factor of life, especially.
You can't do everything.
In the society we live in, it's hard to just stop and breathe for a minute, no matter what you're doing. So I always have to consciously make that decision. And it's hard. I'll literally just try to sit and do nothing for 10 minutes, and my mind goes crazy. I have to force myself to just sit and relax every now and then. Even and without watching something, without playing something, just to literally just sit and stare, essentially.
When I sleep.
Yeah, and basically, yeah. And even then, I hardly sleep as is, so it's a nightmare. The next one comes from Ren. He says, I'm a podcaster and I've noticed a slight difference in our audio, mostly that you guys have very little mouth noise. Tell me about your audio setup. Well,
stop.
You don't like that, Jacob?
No.
I think we would sound more professional if we had a bunch of mouth noise. Honestly, I have no idea how we don't have mouth noise because I know what you mean. I don't notice it on a lot of podcasts, but there are podcasts that their mics are so high quality and high end that you can hear every detail of their mouth. It kind of sounds like you're inside their mouth.
Yeah.
But I don't really know how to describe how to avoid it because our mics aren't cheap by any means, but they're definitely not the nicest mics you can buy. They're very common mics. Jacob's rolling with the SM7B from Shure.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with the Audio-Technica 2035, and Preston uses the Audio-Technica 2020. That's the older model of this mic. And that's why Preston sounds like an idiot every week.
So you always get the good one.
Yes. Preston ordered the cheaper. It's not that much more expensive. This one's only slightly more expensive than the 2020, but Preston just got the 20. They essentially sound the exact same. But I just think the frequency response in this one's slightly different. But yeah. I don't really know how to describe how to get little mouth noise, honestly. I've been to audio school and I have an extensive knowledge in the science behind audio, but I'm very bad at teaching and describing things. Like in my mind, I see it all and understand it, but explaining it to someone else, I can't explain. But perhaps if you record at a very low gain, like if you look at mine and Jacob's waveform on my computer right now, it's like microscopic. For example, if you're more of a sight person versus audio, now typically people tell you to listen and not see when you're dealing with audio. But if you're a visual person, if you look at your meter, there's typically a green layer, a yellow, and a red, and that's when you get close to peaking. But I'd never like to leave the green when I record a podcast, because that gives me more than enough room to gain it up however loud I want it to be in the end. So that might help a little bit. The less gain, the less it's picking up the smacking of your mouth, perhaps. I don't know. That could be a factor, but I don't know.
I have nothing to say.
Yeah, but those of you, this is a good opportunity to say this. Those of you that are on our Discord channel know this, but if you're not already on our Discord channel, you should join it, because we have a community content section. It's originally called community art because I couldn't think of the word content, but that's originally what I meant to put as the title. So community content, it's an outlet for everyone in the community to share their creations. Like we have obviously our dumb little podcast and our Let's Plays that we do on this YouTube channel. But if you do a YouTube channel of your own, or you host a podcast, or even if it's art like it used to be, if you draw or paint or you make music, anything you do that you're proud of, share your creations in this section, because we want to see them. I love seeing all the stuff you guys do, whether it's any of those things. I think it's super cool.
So why do you bring this up with our audio setup?
Because he says he does a podcast as well. Okay. I was going to say Ren, and even like Kyle on the Thought Patrol podcast. Any of you that do that kind of stuff, by all means, share it there so everyone can listen to it. And I listen to your guys' podcast. Whenever you guys tell me you have a podcast, if you tell me where to find it, I will listen to it.
Well, maybe they don't want us or our community to hear them.
Yeah, that's fine. If you don't want anyone to know, you can keep it to yourself.
You don't know their life. You don't know the right. trials they've been through.
It might be a secret government spy podcast that only spies can listen to.
You never know who's watching.
Exactly. But if you guys feel compelled to share your content with us and the rest of the community, please do so in that section. It'd be awesome. Next one comes from Matt. And this is a short one. This one's easy to answer. He says, I forgot, in all caps too. He was very flustered, but I couldn't message you on Twitter. I didn't want to say it publicly on Twitter because it would seem kind of random. It might confuse people, but it wouldn't let me message you on Twitter. So that's why I reserved your question for Ask IOG. I apologize for not being hasty. But he says, I forgot the name of your band and I'm sad. Ask IOG or just respond to me, man. Like ASAP, I'm dying here. That's what he said. So
are you all right?
Yeah.
You holding on?
Right. Brief answer is there's two bands that are both currently in limbo that may or may not ever rise again. But first one is Among the Valiant. That's Preston and I's metal band. We've mentioned that multiple times. And secondly is the pop punk parody band I'm in with our buddy Zach Bynum called Chasing Twins. And both of those bands can be found on SoundCloud. So fun little projects. That was originally Among the Valiant. Was me and Preston were all in on that band, and we gave it every fiber of our being and effort to make it a reality. But like we said earlier in this podcast, life happens and people get busy, and all of our lives are incredibly different now. We just have no time to work on it. So, but if you have any interest in hearing our tunes, both of those bands are on SoundCloud. And Chasing Twins is on iTunes and Spotify as well. Chasing Twins is everywhere. So, yeah, those are the bands. Next one comes from Flash again, Mr. Sam Harris. He says, hey dudes, I know you guys are connoisseurs of whiskey and other fine beverages. What are your favorite drinks and your least favorite? Also, what drinks do you recommend? Cheers to you guys.
I wouldn't say I'm a connoisseur, but I enjoy whiskey.
Well, says the man who gets lost in Athens, drunk in the middle of the night.
I didn't drink whiskey.
That's true. What'd you have that night?
I think it was Fireball or something.
Okay. Isn't that a form? That's like cinnamon whiskey, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had it. I've only had it like twice in my life. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I drank a whole bottle of it for some reason. And then I went out and had drinks.
Bet you taste like apple pie that night, Jacob.
Tastes like a Fireball.
You were an apple pie with legs.
I don't know. I couldn't taste much of anything.
Just a lone, jacked,
I was very
lost
dehydrated
apple pie.
after my walk.
I bet. That's why you had ice cream for breakfast.
Oh, yeah. That was good ice cream, man. McDonald's has good ice cream.
They do. It's pretty underrated. McDonald's soft serve ice cream is good stuff.
Yeah. Right now, my favorite drinks are Four Roses and Elijah Craig. They're both pretty, I would say, I don't know. They're not very harsh on your throat, as some other whiskeys are. Like, what's the one with Matthew McConaughey?
Wild Turkey.
Yeah, that one's a little strong.
It'll scorch you.
It has a lot of alcohol in it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the more you drink it, though, now I don't necessarily have this experience with that bourbon per se, but the more you drink it, the less it starts to burn. It kind of coats your throat, which is nice.
Yeah.
But that Elijah Craig bourbon you brought over in a previous podcast was pretty good.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of bourbon they use at that restaurant I've talked about, American Cup, but the smoking bourbon.
Yeah. I liked
so
that.
good. I sent you that video.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they stick the cup, or they burn this piece of special wood. I don't know what kind of wood it is. Some of you guys might know what I'm talking about, where they put the glass over the smoke, and the glass envelops all the smoke. It absorbs it. Flip it over, and they stick a giant single cube of ice in the glass, and then they pour whatever bourbon it is inside. It's so smooth, it's delicious too. So,
nice.
And that gets me tipsy real fast. Cause
I heard you were tipsy.
As I've said,
I think your girlfriend sent me a Snapchat.
I'm not a heavy drinker at all. I'm a one and done guy. I have that bourbon, I'm done at that restaurant. But no, I'm not tipsy to the point where I'm like, whoa, dude, but I definitely feel it. Like the room's just slightly spinning when I have that
When
drink.
do you get a few drinks in you one night?
I'm sure the time will come. If we hit 1 million subscribers, I'll get drunk with you, Jacob.
Oh, yeah?
Mark my words.
Okay.
That'll be the same day I get the ItsOG ass tattoo. I might
I'll
just
hold
get
you to that. Not the tattoo, but the
I might get drunk and get the tattoo right afterwards. It'd be quite the vlog.
Which one first?
Wait, I get drunk first and then get the tattoo. I think it'd be funnier if I got the ass tattoo while I was drunk.
Okay.
That seems like the only appropriate time to do that. And that's a long shot because we have a long way to go.
You would have to get me very drunk to get an IOG ass tattoo.
Okay.
I just don't want to.
I don't know why I'm the only one that. Maybe it's because I don't have a nice butt that I'm like, I don't care if I have a tattoo on my butt.
I just don't want someone stabbing me in the butt.
I don't mind.
It's gonna be painful.
Man. I think it might be kind of erotic.
No.
Why don't you give me the tattoo, Jacob?
Okay.
I'd be open to that.
I would too.
All right. Well.
Whenever I go out to drink, though, I just get Jack and Coke. It's nice and simple. And but when they put Pepsi in it, it sucks.
Why would they do that?
Some places put Pepsi in it. It's.
Can I have a Jack and Pepsi, please?
It's disgraceful.
It's probably what they do up north, those Yankees.
Hey.
No offense to you guys. Pepsi and Jack, that's hilarious. I do love a good Jack and Coke, though.
Yeah, something I dislike is anything with honey in it. I don't like honey in whiskey.
Okay.
Especially like...
I know that
our friend
Jack
Elliot...
Daniels has honey whiskey.
They have a honey brand.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend Elliot, he loves honey in his alcohol.
Interesting.
I hate it. So I never drink his alcohol.
I haven't tried the honey whiskey or anything with honey in it, so I wouldn't know. Now, when it comes to beer...
It's too syrupy.
Is it? I'd imagine it would be, yeah. But when it comes to beer, I'm an IPA guy. I've said that in the past. All those craft beers are good. I've tried a lot, especially when I was traveling with Preston a lot. We worked with a team that all those guys would drink every single night. And I usually would too, but we tried all kinds of craft beers in this really awesome restaurant called the Crooked Spoon. Amazing. They're known for their burgers. Funny story about, not funny, but cool story about them. They originally started as a food truck, these special burgers they made, and they became so popular that they opened a full-fledged restaurant, and they're very successful.
It's awesome. Great
beer at that place too, but when it comes to well-known beers, I really enjoy a good Blue Moon. I think Blue Moon's a good beer. Some people say it's a girly beer, but I like it.
Good for you, man.
Yingling's not bad. I don't like Corona. That tastes like feet.
I hate Yingling. It's so gross.
See, I don't hate it, but I can drink it. That's probably my last choice would probably be Yingling, but Blue Moon and
what about
Bell's
O'Doul's?
Two Hearted is really good.
You like O'Doul's?
O'Doul's is my favorite, dude. I get so smashed on O'Doul's.
Well, a couple guys that I work with are on probation. They're like they're like not allowed to drink,
right?
Basically, and we always joke about having O'Doul's after work and stuff. It's funny.
O'Doul's, that's great.
Because if you drink enough O'Doul's, you will get drunk.
Really?
Yeah, because they have like a 1% alcohol in them.
Okay.
Or it's like 0.01%.
Man,
so if you have like 100 of them, you'll get drunk.
My goodness, why?
Maybe.
But then it's like you're still breaking your probation because you technically are getting drunk.
Basically, yeah.
It's
just funny to think about.
It's like such a waste of time.
It is.
Man. Any more drinks from you, Jacob?
No. Let's move on.
And shout out to the Capri Sun while we're at it. It's a good drink. Skitty says, if you could move to any other country and live there, would you do it? And why just that country?
I don't think I would.
No?
I want to be here. But if I had to, I'd either move to England.
Why England?
I don't know.
The fish and chips, the tea.
Yeah. I've always admired
Big Ben?
The English culture. Just the London itself.
Harry Potter's there too.
And Harry Potter. How am I going to go to Hogwarts if I'm here? Right?
I mean, Americans, well, you go to the American school.
Yeah,
It's the school called in America. They say it in Fantastic Beasts.
Ivan Ivy.
Some stupid place that no one cares about.
Yeah.
F you and your stupid American wizard school.
Ivorywood. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't mind maybe trying out Japan. I think Japan would be cool, but then again, I don't know Japanese, so it might be hard to, adapt.
You might be able to make it. Casey spent an entire 3 months in Hong Kong. That's China, but without a phone because she broke her phone like a week into her trip. So she had to just basically survive without a phone for 3 months, and she managed to communicate fine and have an amazing time.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to live there. That's the thing. I just want to visit.
I'd have to visit somewhere extensively to know if I'd want to live there first. I can't just visit once and be like, yeah, that'll do. I guess I'll settle down here.
I've also thought about like Scotland or Italy.
Scotland, from what I've seen, is gorgeous. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to visit Scotland. There's countless countries I want to visit. The only out-of-country places I've been, that sounds so stupid, the only times I've been out of the country were to Brazil, specifically Londrina City in Brazil. It's south of Sao Paulo, I believe. It's about a couple hours south of Sao Paulo. But I've been to Cebu City in the Philippines.
Cebu.
Which is south of Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines. That place was also gorgeous, portions of it. And I've been in the South Korean airport. That was an experience in itself. I think I mentioned it as well. They don't have a concept of lines in South Korea. So they say it's first come, first serve. We're all trying to wait in a line. Us stupid Americans, like, we're waiting for our coffee at Starbucks, and everyone's just darting to the front of the line. You just have to fight your way in. So,
were there people gaming around you?
There were, yeah.
South Koreans love to play games.
There was a little girl on at the time, I believe it was one of the original Nintendo DSs. And it was cool seeing all that culture just exploding. And just the airport, too. I could only see out the airport. I could see just like the airstrip, obviously. But it was so cool to think that I was in South Korea. And also horrifying to think I wasn't far from North Korea. So, but that was a really cool experience, although it was just a short 4-hour layover.
Gotcha.
I told the story in the plane, too, where I almost threw up and asked for a Sprite, and the Sprite saved my life.
They're also very good at StarCraft.
Are they?
Koreans, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Would you say they're the best?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't watch enough StarCraft.
Okay. Countries, though. I mean, I could talk about a million countries I want to visit, but I'd be open to possibly living in Australia. I have a teacher or a professor currently who lived in Australia for many years.
See, I don't know if I want to live there.
He's the second person I've met who's lived in Australia for multiple years, and they say it's amazing there.
Things are so expensive.
Is it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I haven't been.
That's just what I've heard.
I don't want to get in a fight with
and
kangaroos.
There's
I'll tell you
deadly
that much.
Creatures that can
there
kill
are
you.
Many
like
deadly creatures.
Hundreds.
Yeah, many deadly creatures. I don't know where I'd want to live because I haven't visited enough places to know. If I was forced to choose, just because I feel like I know people who have had experiences there, I'd say Australia is a safe bet. But shout out to Felipe of Switzerland, because I don't know if you live in the part of Switzerland that's as gorgeous as the videos I see online, but everyone in the U.S. constantly shares videos of Switzerland. It essentially looks like Skyrim.
Yeah.
Like, that looks amazing. I'm so jealous that Felipe lives there. But it looks cool. So I don't know if you can vouch for that. I don't know which part you live in. But to those of you listening in from around the world, please share if you're willing to which country you live in. And we won't hunt you down and kill you, I promise. But if you're willing to share, I'd love to hear it and tell me how you feel about your own country. Because here in the U.S., there's no denying the fact there are countless beautiful places to visit and live, but I've hardly explored the United States. I've been to probably
me either.
10 or 12 states, between 10 and 12 states, but there's still so much of the U.S. I haven't seen.
I've never been much of a traveler.
Dude,
I wish I was.
I love traveling. Now,
it's not that I don't enjoy it. I just don't do it.
Mm-hmm. I love traveling for periods of time, but I do love coming home after traveling for an extended period of time, for sure. So... But yeah, I don't know where I'd live. But like I said, if I was forced to choose, probably start with Australia. Please share the countries you guys reside in, the countries you hail from. It'd be cool. Lastly, Jacob, this one comes from Fumes. Ever have immense gaming rage? How do you deal with it?
No, I got good.
You got good, huh?
No, I punch my bed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to help me. I like hitting things.
Okay.
It's weird as that. I guess that's not weird. But as violent as that seems, I have to take my anger out on something.
Now, before we continue...
But sometimes I take a deep breath beforehand.
And then smash things?
No, then that just helps.
Wow, it's amazing.
Just taking a deep breath.
Okay.
Try it. It'll calm you down.
All right.
It'll make you realize that this isn't that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But what were you going to say?
Before we continue, I was going to say we have to address the fact that we have an entire episode of the It's Obvious podcast dedicated to gaming rage. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's titled Our Biggest Rage Moments in Gaming. And that can only be found on YouTube. It's before we were on Spotify and iTunes. But if you go to our podcast playlist and just search for that episode called Our Biggest Gaming Rage Moments or something, it also has Zach Bynum on that podcast. If I recall correctly, Jacob, that is some of the hardest I have ever laughed on our podcast. The story of us telling our rage stories. Now, this is back in the day where we were all sharing one mic and the quality is awful. But if you want to relate to our rage stories, we say some of the funniest stuff on there that are all true stories. So
a lot of them happened at the apartment.
Yes. I highly recommend that episode if you need some. If you've exhausted all your podcasts for the week and want to listen to a crappy old episode of ours, I highly recommend that one for sure. But that being said, I'll just name a couple of my biggest ones. My craziest one, when I tell it on the podcast, is so much funnier, but I don't want to reiterate completely in case you guys go check it out. But I essentially was holding an Xbox 360 controller. I can't remember which game it was, but I bit the stick like a rabid animal and ripped the stick out of the controller and threw it across the room like a gorilla or something.
Did it taste good?
No, it did not. It tasted like rubber and plastic. That was probably my craziest moment. And then I once took a disc of one of the Call of Duties out of my disc tray and threw it like a ninja star across the room, and it shattered against the wall. I could name count. That podcast, I name plenty, but that's two off the top of my head. But nowadays, it's funny because I've transitioned from physical anger to verbal anger.
I've noticed.
I'll just cuss up a storm if I get really pissed. And casual conversation, day-to-day life, I really do not cuss a lot at all. But sometimes, not all the time. I've gotten the older we get, the less I've grown to care. I know you're the same way. But the older I've gotten, more so the previous years, not so much these days. But every now and then I will just rip whatever game I'm playing, verbally a new one. I don't throw it. I don't smash anything. I just yell at whatever I'm playing. Like I've yelled at Mario Kart a couple times. It's made me so mad. I have too. So no, this is so funny. I have to bring this up, Jacob. How did you feel during our Grand Prix? We played at like 2 a.m. the other night. Were you very mad?
Yeah.
I knew you were, because I intentionally was saying my little character, because Jacob and I were at our own homes, and Jacob was like 2 a.m. He's like, hey, I'm in bed playing Switch.
I'm in bed. You want to make love?
Yeah, you want to come over and make love? That's basically what he said. But he's like, hey, he's like, I'm playing Switch in bed if you want to play anything. I was like, you want to do a Grand Prix? And it's like, yeah, sure. So in our separate homes, 2 a.m., I get out of bed. I was watching Attack on Titan trying to fall asleep. I get out of bed because I love Mario Kart. It's like, I totally want to race Jacob right now. So pick up my Switch, get back in bed, and I create a room, and Jacob joins me. I make my little me character see the douchiest things the whole time. I can't remember what I said, but I think the first thing I was like, the first race I won was like, I'm using tilt controls and stuff. Remember the first race, you were ahead of me at the very end. You had the bananas surrounding you.
That's when I got mad.
I knew you got mad after that because I
was about to win.
I thought I got lucky because Jacob, I was ahead of him most of the race, but the last lap, Jacob got around me.
Yeah, I got like way ahead of you.
He got far ahead of me and I couldn't catch up. Now my drifts, I finally got really close to him. In the end, he had bananas surrounding him. And the key about those is that you can't technically manually block behind you, but if you get lucky and someone throws something, if your banana just happens to spin behind you at the right time, it will block the item. Well, I had a red shell at the very end. And
I know.
This is it was Moo Moo Meadows, whatever it's called. The final bend. I'm talking the finish line is 20 feet in front of you. I was right behind Jacob. I threw my red shell and it threw him off the track at the last second, and I won. And I freaked out because I got so lucky, and I knew I got lucky.
I should have just quit after that race because I was flustered the rest of the races.
Oh, I bet, because I knew in that moment, one, that you were super pissed because that would drive me insane, but I knew that I got lucky because Jacob's banana could have blocked that and he could have beaten me, but I hit Jacob and I won that race at the last second. And that's when I said I was using tilt controls, and I'm sure that didn't help at all. But
I don't think I remember.
We did 3 more races and I won all of them, but there's a couple times where you're pretty close to me. We had some close calls.
I think I did very poorly.
Did you?
I think.
Maybe I'm thinking of different races, but yeah, we raced, and I was just saying all the douchiest things the me character could say the whole time. I remember the final race, we raced, and I won, and I was waiting for your character to run up on the earth so I could say something stupid again. But I think I was going to say, that was fun when you ran up on the world, but you just disappeared instantly and quit. And I knew you were so mad, but...
And that's how I went to bed.
Yeah, no, I hate going to bed angry. It's terrible.
I'm not playing Mario Kart against you until I am an expert at the game again.
Okay, that's fair. Just do what I did, Jacob. If you play for 6 hours straight, you'll know that game.
That's the thing. I never have 6 hours to play.
Well, you have to sacrifice a night of sleep, because that's what I did.
I'm not doing that.
I know. But I sacrificed a night of sleep, and now I know all those tracks like the back of my hand. So
good for you.
Now, I'm not an expert on all the shortcuts yet, but just the main core of the tracks, I know them very well. But yeah, that gaming podcast, our old podcast of the Rage Moments, is very funny if you guys need a good laugh. At least I think it's funny. We may sound like total idiots, it being that long ago. I can't remember. I'm kind of afraid to go check it out at this point. But Jacob, that will do it for episode 3 of Ask IOG. And as a huge shout out to each and every one of you who not only sent us questions for this episode, but continue to send us questions every week that can be read on either the It's Obvious podcast, Ask IOG, excuse me. Now, that being said, remember, we're trying to design this show to be, well, technically it's designed by you guys, but we'd like it to be a little more random and less gaming focused. Now, there will inevitably be gaming questions that end up on this show, but the more random questions that come to mind, you feel like sharing them with us on either ItsObviousGaming@gmail.com, on Twitter, on Facebook, or on our Discord channel in the Ask IOG section. Wherever you prefer to send your question, any random ones that you think are funny or clever to send our way for this show, we'd love to include them. What are you looking at?
Trevor's hair.
Hair mustache. Yeah.
I always forget that's there.
Yeah, Zach has mutilated some of my posters. You can't see it in the video, but this poster wall has a Grand Theft Auto poster with Trevor. You know, Trevor's balding, but Zach he had a fake mustache for some reason. He added the mustache to Trevor's head and it looks like a full head of hair, and it's 3-dimensional because it pops out from the poster. And there's a Metallica Master of Puppets poster that says Master of Zachary Bynum, because he stickered his name over the puppets part. And he actually edited, this is a very obscure joke that not many people will get, but if you're familiar with Ronnie Radke, who was formerly of the band Escape the Fate, but now he's in a band called Falling in Reverse. Not a fan of his band now, but he came out with a song on one of their albums called Alone, and it was the stupidest rap rock song we had ever heard, and we made so much fun of it when it came out. No offense to anyone that likes it, but we think it sucks.
No, I think it's horrible,
but
you shouldn't like it.
Yeah, that same year, the movie Gangster Squad came out with Ryan Reynolds and... not Ryan Reynolds. Ryan.
I have that poster in my room.
Yeah, Ryan. I don't know why I have it still. I think at the time we were so hyped for that movie.
I really like that movie.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's definitely there's far better gangster movies than that one.
Oh yeah.
But Josh Brolin's in it, Sean Penn's in it, and Zach cut out a picture of Ronnie Radke from that album and put it on the poster, and it looks like he's actually in the movie for Gangster Squad, which we thought was so funny. But yeah, just Zach has had his way with a lot of my posters. I remember I had one of those Justice League posters that had all the characters, very artistic Justice League poster where I had all their faces. It's actually on that wall, I think, behind the green screen. I haven't seen that wall in so long as the green screen just lives there. It was a Justice League poster where they all didn't have faces. It was just like their silhouettes, and we drew faces on all the Justice League characters, and that's hilarious too. So that's so random. As I was saying, yeah, submit your questions for the show. And those of you that have not heard your questions yet, do not fret, because they are all still on our log for future episodes, and we will address them. And I want to give a shout out to those who may never hear their questions. I know this sounds terrible to hear, but there have been a few we've received that have been questions that we've answered multiple times already on various shows. So we just don't want to repeat ourselves too many times, and that is not at all a bad thing. Whatever you guys feel like asking us and you're willing to do so, just know that we don't take any questions, comments, likes on videos, messages just telling us that you enjoy the show, whatever it might be. Know that we never take any bit of it for granted, because there was a time when we were not receiving anything from anyone. And although we're still very small, just the fact that you guys connect with us on Discord or on YouTube or on Twitter, wherever it is that you guys talk to us or talk amongst yourselves, just know that we don't take a second of it for granted. We greatly appreciate all your support, and it's been a huge honor and privilege to just do these fun shows and connect with you guys from around the world. It's been amazing.
Agreed, my friend.
But yeah, I love this show, and I hope it continues. The more questions you guys send us, remember, the more we can do this show. And I have to apologize that with the fact that we took 2 weeks off from this show, because we have enough content to do at least 2 more episodes after this, but our schedules, as I said, have conflicted so much, and we didn't want to do it without Preston, but we've delayed it for so long that Jacob and I just decided to go ahead and do it for this week. But hopefully in the next one, Preston can be with us. And
I mean, we don't really have anything to apologize for, I feel like, because we said we were going to do it once a month. So
right, but I feel like,
and we're still starting out. So.
Right, I feel like like we said, the goal is to do it every week, and technically we have enough content to do it every week now. It's just we are in a period, right? And it's purely because of Preston's job. He doesn't get a whole lot of sleep right now. We don't want to strain him too much because he has to work hectic hours, and it's hard for him to do everything with us right now.
Oh, woe is me.
Yeah, ooh, that's not necessarily hot, but that's gooey right now. I touched the wax, Jacob, of this candle.
Stop it.
Sorry, Jacob. Hopefully, I'm glad we didn't blow it out all over the table again. That was devastating on that podcast.
Yep.
But again, seriously, thank you to each and every one of you. We greatly appreciate all your support, and we hope you have a phenomenal weekend if you're listening on Friday or any other time in your life. You could be listening 10 years from now. I don't even know if YouTube exists. I don't know if the world exists. Whenever you're listening, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, future you.
Yeah. If you're listening in the future, hopefully this show's weekly by now. But again, this show is literally crafted by you guys. So whatever you feel like in your brain, even if it's the most random, stupid thing ever, even if it's an extensive question, go ahead and send it our way. We look forward to getting to it. But as always, my name's Garrett Drake. I was joined alongside Jacob Alkin. We will catch you guys again very soon.